Speaking out of Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome, everyone, to the Spotlight. It is Thursday, April 18th. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That's Stephen Jensen. And shout out, as always, to Big Dick MLJ for the intro. We got a lot to talk about. We had AEW Dynasty this weekend. We got big happenings in the world of WWE. New Japan's got a new champion. There's a TNA event as well. Jensen's drinking. What are you drinking, Jensen?
We have a free plug here. Got some woo energy in the house.
That's unfortunate.
So I was telling you before we got started, my birthday is coming up next month, and my buddy was like, it's funny because he bought me something that I already had. Like, he saw it in my place. He's like, oh man, I was gonna get you that for your birthday. You already have it. It's like this little Space Jam thing. And I was like, oh yeah, but like all good. Like I'll, anything you want to get me, like I appreciate. And then he was like, well, you know what? I also just bought some of these online. So let's try these. So he gave me a whole like 6-pack of Woo Energy. I just opened this thing right when you can attest to this. Before we went live, I cracked this open so that like it wouldn't make like the noise on air, like the cracking and cackling and stuff of like opening the can and hearing all the carbonation and the mic and stuff. I opened it. Half this thing is on my floor. It exploded all over me. Like, I didn't shake it up. It's been in my fridge all night. Open the can, and half of it literally is on my lap, on my floor. My immediate thoughts are, doesn't taste that good. Unfortunately, I'm just gonna keep it real. I've been drinking a lot of G.
You're not a sponsor. You can bury it all you want.
True. Now I recently, I want to give a shout out because he's such a good guy. Recently, Vinny Pacifico sent me a whole bunch of G Fuel stuff, and he sent me like some like the powder, like the can, the whatever you call them, like the cases of powder that you mix into water and stuff. And those have been really good. But he also sent me like 6 like big cans. Like some of them had like Ninja's face on it, like Knuckles from Sonic and Knuckles, Naruto stuff, and Spyro and whatnot. And I will say, the G Fuel, most of the G Fuel has been pretty delicious, and I've been drinking it pretty much every day. So just honest review, G Fuel way better than Woo Energy so far. I have more flavors to test of the Woo, to be fair. But so far, the strawberry banana, not as good as most of the G Fuel that I have drank. So I will give both of those brands a little bit of a review right now, and also a big thank you to our friend Vinny Pacifico for hooking me up for some G Fuel, because that's actually come in handy a lot lately for me. So, especially when I was this where I was last night, Jeremy. It was Wednesday.
Did you go to the Hawks game? No.
Dave and Buster's, damn it. I got myself I had a bunch of free credits to play with because they let you like pick NBA and NCAA and all these like sports and stuff now on there. So I wound up going to D&B's and used some free credits and got myself a nice throw blanket.
Yeah, Dave and Buster's, damn it.
That's funny. So I to be fair, here we go. 6 Calderon in the chat. What's up to everyone in the chat, by the way? I see y'all in the comments. Keep them coming. We'll make sure to address everything. Super chats are welcome. We'll put them on the screen like always. We answer your questions. But he said Prime tastes like a lithium battery. To be fair, believe it or not, I have not tasted Prime yet. I have not tried it.
Really?
I have not. I do want to try the Cody Rhodes flavor for sure.
Of course.
So,
have you tried the Cody Rhodes vodka, the Wheatley vodka?
I have
Isn't
not.
Isn't that the vodka?
I should try it though. I drink Bloody Marys all the time, and I mainly drink Tito's.
Wheatley, so good. I drink it neatly. That's the commercial. That shit's catchy.
That is smart.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, yeah, I got my new Cody Rhodes shirt already. The story continues from WrestleMania. Gunner, you shout out to my boy Gunner. who's been on the show before. He got me this in the building and then mailed it to me. So appreciate
you
that.
waited in line after Cody won. How'd they make those shirts so fast? How they know he's gonna win?
Well, this one I think they were just selling. Well, actually, I don't know if they were selling this the whole time, because this is kind of like, this isn't necessarily like him winning. It's like, we're going for the title. We're gonna win this thing. But then there was another shirt that I ordered online that they didn't have at the event that I think is going to arrive around the beginning of May, so a couple weeks.
May.
Yeah, they take forever with it's like how teams do when they win the Super Bowl or whatever, it'll be like the championship shirt with like their logo and like the year or whatever.
Yeah.
I bought one of those for Cody. Like I did the same thing. I bought the Royal Rumble one that I wear on stream every now and then. I bought one for Cody, and I'm waiting on that in the mail. I also bought a championship pennant of his, like, one of those like triangle looking pennants that I used to get from like back in the day from baseball teams and stuff. So I bought like all the championship like memorabilia from the shop. So I'll probably buy one of those, like,
They should have aired one of those commercials that literally airs like right after a team wins a championship. It's like, hey, Cody Rhodes fans, you just watched Cody Rhodes finish the story, and now you can celebrate with the official Cody Rhodes is the undisputed WWE Universal Champion merchandise. You can get your hat, you can get your shirt, you can get your pen, you can get your pennant. Just go to www.shop.com/fanatics, whatever it is, and get your official Cody Rhodes finish the story merchandise.
Facts. And it should have been like Todd Pettengill doing the
I just
the
did
sales.
I did all the speech right there. That's all top of the head too.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, But
why do you want Todd Pettengill to get the money that I just pitched?
I kind of miss Todd Pettengill a little bit. He kind of seems like he was the perfect person for that obviously was Don West, but R.I.P. Don West. He was the man. But no, you're right. And then like I wonder if there's like truckloads of Roman Reigns wins at WrestleMania 40 t-shirts being shipped to other countries right now. Like that's what they do with all the, I think we talked about that before, but like the losing team for the Super Bowl, they make all their merchandise also and have nothing to do with it. So then those just go to like people in need. It's like just free t-shirts and stuff. Maggie says, now Jensen needs to try my Bloody Mary. He's going to love it. I would love to. I'm not a big drinker anymore. I used to drink heavily. I don't recommend it. But I drink fairly, I'll say this, full transparency. I drink a Bloody Mary or two almost every day, maybe every other day. But we're talking like a drink or two. Like I'm not getting drunk. It's a big difference. Plus, I loaded up with like snackables. Like I put like pickles and olives and stuff in mine. So like I'm like eating while I'm drinking. I'm eating my drinks. You know what I mean? Like Always Sunny, eating like with rum ham. I like to eat my drink sometimes. Anyways, this is like everyone's already tuned out probably. No one cares about what we're talking about right now. But welcome to the show, everybody. We do have a lot of wrestling stuff to talk about today. And it isn't all just Cody Rhodes this week. So for people who don't want to hear me gush about Cody Rhodes and hate on CM Punk, this is probably a good week because we're probably not going to be doing a whole lot of either of those. Let's talk a little bit of Cody. I actually went back recently and I watched some of the old CM Punk shoot interviews from like RF Video and like when Ring of Honor did them and stuff like that. Huh?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I've seen all those shoot interviews years and years ago. And I rewatched them and it's funny because like I was such a big fan of this guy. And like when I go back and I watch him at that age when he was still in like Ring of Honor and stuff, I'm still like a fan of that era of CM Punk. It's just so funny how like all these years later, I've just changed my opinion of him so much, but it's been kind of refreshing seeing some of that old stuff. Like it's been kind of nice. As kind of being a little bit of a CM Punk fan a little bit in like a different way.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to be mean to Phil here and what he had to say.
I've told you before that he gave me some very, very, very valuable life advice in one of his shoot interviews like 20 years ago that I've actually been using.
What is it? I don't remember this.
Mm-hmm. So this would have been, I don't even remember which one it is, but people know what I'm talking about.
20-year-old CM Punk giving advice. This sounds amazing.
And these for people who don't know what I'm talking about, these are old shoot interviews that like they used to distribute, I guess, on like DVD and stuff, but they'd also go on like Ring of Honor website. But like nobody would have known that they would have like YouTube didn't even exist yet when they were doing these interviews. We'll put it that way. I was living in Florida at the time, and I'll never forget. This is going to be way too much information for some people. I don't want to paint too like vivid of a picture here, but when I lived in Florida, I started experiencing, because of the weather change, it was always so hot and humid there that like my like thighs and stuff would like get like sweaty and like rub against each other and stuff, and I'd be like, it was super uncomfortable, and I started complaining about
accusations.
Huh?
We're never beating those thigh accusations.
Yeah, but it was one of those things where I was like, it was weird. I was like getting like really uncomfortable and really, really hot. And I had to wear like slacks and a button down and stuff. And I was like, and I was living in Florida. It was hot. And I wasn't used to the humidity and stuff. And I started asking around at work. I was like, anyone else deal with this? Like, I'm like super uncomfortable. I'm like sweating. I'm like, how do y'all deal with this? And they gave me some advice, some tricks to kind of beat the heat. But I just happened to watch the CM Punk shoot interview.
Yeah, I remember the advice now.
Yeah, I still to this day in my bathroom right now, I have a giant bottle of this stuff. I've always had it ever since. He told me about the green bottle Gold Bond, the medicated Gold Bond. That stuff it's a miracle. And it's so funny because I use it almost every day, and every day I think about CM Punk for like 20 years, ever since he gave that advice. Gold Bond
every
with
time
the
you
fix.
powder your thighs, you're thinking about CM Punk.
Every time I powder anything, dude, I'm like, it's a total game changer for people who deal with that kind of stuff. It fixed it. I couldn't believe it. So CM Punk actually gave me some really, really good life advice forever ago that I actually use every day. That has nothing to do with wrestling. It has made me more comfortable. So thank you, Phil.
All right,
over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
AEW Dynasty is this Sunday. They got to move these pay-per-views to Saturday to be more conducive to my sleep schedule. It'd be appreciated. But
they're ducking TNA, dude.
They're clearly ducking TNA. TNA never knows if they're running on a Friday or a Saturday at this point. So TNA can run Sunday. I'm fine with that. These AEW is going to stop on Sunday.
I'm assuming there's no UFC.
No, there's no UFC this weekend.
So last week.
NHL and NBA playoffs start this weekend. What are you doing? Stop running on these weekends. Anyway, the pay-per-view is on Sunday. It's headlined by Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland. Samoa Joe stood tall last night on Dynamite, which, if history is any indicator, or if the cliche is any indicator, Swerve Strickland is going to be the new AEW World Champion on Sunday. You think that happens, Jensen?
I do. I think that's how most people feel. That it's you just don't want to get into a position where like you don't want to miss the boat on Swerve. You know what I mean? Like, he's hot. The fans want it. He has that extra kind of layer to it where like they've made it known that, you know, he's made it known, the company's made it known he could become the first African-American world champion for AEW. That's a really big deal for him and for a lot of people, for the company. Like, it's just one of those things that just makes sense. Like, the time is just right. I will say though, like I've said week after week, I think that Samoa Joe has done a fantastic job with the championship. I did not at all expect him to be the one to beat MJF for that title when MJF won it. And especially after unsuccessfully challenging for the title, I was like, there's no way they're going to like run it back and then Joe's going to win it, you know, the rematch. I really didn't think Joe was going to be the one to do it. But once we got there and where we're at now, I think he has done a really, really good job with the title. I'd be totally fine with him continuing to be the AEW World Champion. I'm all for it. But at the same time, you just don't want to get in a position where like Swerve loses this, because he lost in the triple threat with Hangman, you know, on the last pay-per-view. So it's like, you don't want it to get like in the fans' minds that like he can't get it done, and then they stop caring as much. And then by the time they might actually pull the trigger, it doesn't hit like it should. So I think that now is probably just the time to do it. How do you feel?
I think Swerve should win, and I'm kind of going on what you're saying as well. Calling Swerve like a choke artist and saying he can't win the big one and then proving that to be fact isn't the best business plan,
right?
In my opinion. It's the same thing I said with when Swerve and Hangman before the Texas Death Match, and Hangman kept calling him a failure, and it was like, you failed at your marriage, you failed as a father, like you can't beat me, you are a failure, and all this. And I'm like, yes, Swerve losing doesn't paint the best picture. It's like, oh, this dude just is a giant old failure. Why am I going to get behind him? And then Swerve ended up winning. And I feel the same way here. Like, you can't call this dude a choke artist, say he can't win the big one, say he's not ready for this moment, and then prove it to be fact. I think that AEW typically does a good job of not doing that kind of stuff. And so that's why I think Swerve is going to win. And Joe standing tall as well kind of gives me more hope for Swerve. And it's an old wrestling, cliche of like, whoever stands tall on the go home show typically loses, but I feel like they typically follow that formula. So I think Swerve wins, as he should. He's hot right now. He should have the title. How long he keeps it is a different story. But
what do you do with Joe after?
I don't know. Send him to ROH. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't do that at all.
That was one of the main things that like had me thinking that Joe wasn't going to be the one to beat MJF, because up until that point, he was the Ring of Honor TV champion. And like, I mean, he had a great run with the thing, but it was like, he wasn't even, I know he was the world champion of Ring of Honor forever ago, like that historic run in the early 2000s. But like, you know what I mean? It was one of those things where it's like, they didn't even have him with the ROH world title up to that point. He was carrying the TV title. Like, it seemed like a pretty big leap considering the circumstances. I definitely wouldn't put it back on ROH, except for maybe like the ROH pay-per-views, have him show up and have like a dream match or something. But
he's not going back to ROH. What do you do with Joe afterwards? I don't know. I think you've got to really establish as a babyface heel dynamic. I feel like MJF might want to come back and get revenge on Joe, because I don't know when Cole's coming back. We had a report on Fightful Select that said, Cole's off television right now because the ankle wasn't progressing quite as fast while he was still traveling and everything. So I don't know when MJF comes back. Samoa Joe could just be Samoa Joe. Like something like Will Ospreay would make some sense for Joe. I'm more curious of what you do with Swerve, because I don't know when Hangman's coming back, if that's going to be the first feud. Everybody's ready to crown Ospreay at All In. So, but you got some time until then. So where does Swerve go at Double or Nothing? Is that the Hangman match? If Hangman's coming back then, I feel like that's the most likely scenario, but I don't know when Hangman's going to be ready to come back either.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. That's the good thing about AEW's roster, though, is like there's plenty of people that both guys could feud with and have great matches with. But we're both on the same page. It's time for Swerve to win the title. You don't want to get him like pigeonholed as like that he can't get the job done. So
the fact that they're leaning into that makes me believe even more into Swerve. Like if they didn't say these things and it was just kind of like, I'm gonna beat you, not you can't beat me, you're a choke artist, then I'd feel maybe a little bit better about Joe. But they're really leaning into, you're a loser, you can't win the big one, you're a choke artist, I'm going to crush your dreams of being the first African-American AEW world champion. They're leaning heavy into that, and I don't feel like they're going to screw over that finish and be like, yeah, you know what? All these things about Swerve are true. So I think
there seems to be some people in the chat think Joe and Jericho maybe afterwards.
Why?
I think they're probably being sarcastic, probably.
Segment.
I was about to say, which leads me to my next point, the Jericho hook stuff. That's pretty cringe, right? I mean, it's coming from. I consider. I mean, obviously, at this point, Cody Rhodes is the GOAT. Like, he's my guy. He's my favorite of all time. But I mean, my entire life. I mean, most of my life. From like the late '90s through now, Chris Jericho was my guy. And even I'm like, I don't know how this fits on the show. So. That's not good.
The Jericho segment. One, he trademark all these terms, and so he wanted to get all his terms over.
Did he really trademark all of those?
Oh yeah. Jericho Vortex, Rarefied Air of Jericho, Learning Tree. What else did he say last night that was trademarked?
He's just trying to get one of them to stick. Just any of them to stick. So
that's what he does. But like he packed them all in there last night. Here's my issue with it. It's so rushed and so forced. Like, wasn't it like two weeks ago? Maybe it was a little bit more than that, but it feels like 2 weeks ago that like Hook was like, yeah, you know what? I'll accept your advice. That's cool. And then they did like one tag match. And then in the trios match, Jericho was like, you need to take my advice. And Hook was like, I don't know. And then last night, Hook's like, no, I'm not taking your advice. It's like 2 weeks ago. You were just like, yeah, I'll accept your advice. That sounds like a good idea. And like y'all did one match and now you're not going to take his advice. Like it's so rushed. Like I'm not the biggest Jericho fan in what he's doing or anything, but I do think there's a story to be told of Jericho trying to give this dude advice and they're just going right through it in like a week. And it's like, well, now I really don't care because y'all aren't even like trying with this thing. You're just putting them together to put them together, and I guess do a Jericho and Hook match, which hopefully Hook wins. But yeah, that's honestly, besides the fact that I know a lot of people are tired of Jericho, and I get it, but I do think there's a story to be told with this. It's just they're not even trying to tell it. They're just like, yeah, let's bang this out in a week because we got a pay-per-view to sell here on Sunday. I actually think this would be a better feud if they let it simmer a little bit. I understand, Shotgun Spurs says no one has the patience for this to go any longer. I think, look, that's probably true in a lot of cases. Like people immediately groaned when Jericho and Hook were paired together. So I get it. But at the same time, like, I feel like you got to try, but they didn't really have the opportunity to try because they had a pay-per-view coming up. They added this pay-per-view. If they tried to do this during Double or Nothing, maybe it simmers a little bit more and people buy into it a little bit. But here it's just like, I accept. Wait a second. I don't like what you're saying. All right, now let's do a match. I don't actually want your advice. Like, all right, sure.
Yeah, I'm with everything you said there. I think that had Dynasty not been like thrown on the pay-per-view schedule so quickly when it was, if this had more time, at least it would have had a chance to be something. But you're right, it was all rushed really, really quickly. So yeah, I mean, I'm assuming I'll do some predictions throughout this too. We got Swerve. I mean, I'll take Hook over Jericho. I mean, it's for the FTW title, which I can talk for the next hour about how that title just doesn't need to be a part of the company. Like, it's like amazing how you have the FTW title, the Continental title, the International title, the TNT title, and they all of those titles basically mean like the same. They're like the same level pretty much. The FTW title was never recognized, but like it definitely is recognized, like, which is weird. You just don't need it, but I don't know. Who do you think wins? Do you think Jericho puts himself over Hook and then wins the FTW title because it's like the only belt he hasn't won?
Honestly, he might.
Yeah, him versus Taz.
He might, like.
Yeah, but then I mean that's what all we need to probably pay attention to that. That's probably one of the least anticipated matches on the card. I like Hook and I like both guys though. That's the thing. I actually like Hook, and I was one of those people who was like memeing on Hook at first, like everyone else was, when he was just standing around eating chips, and then like he actually really impressed me with his judo style and kind of the stuff that he's able to do in the ring. He brings something different to the table. Like I said, Jericho is like the GOAT for me. Like I've always been a huge Jericho mark. But even I'm like, this isn't great. It's been rushed, like you said. Also on this show, let's see what else should we highlight. Now, I mean, Ospreay versus Danielson, that's going to be incredible.
Will Ospreay should do its best for business and lose
to Danielson. I mean, I you got to imagine Ospreay is not taking any L's probably heading into Wembley. I would imagine they're just going to keep him strong over everyone. I wouldn't mind Danielson winning though, to be honest, because it's still Danielson. Like either guy, that's the great thing about someone like Bryan Danielson. He's such a made man and has such credibility that, like, you know, he can do whatever he wants and he can get put over anyone, and like it's always going to make sense. But
I'm tired of him losing. I'm tired of
it. I know you are. I know you are, and I understand it. I feel like Ospreay's going to win this one, but I think Danielson loses too often as well.
I think Ospreay can take a loss. It's fine. He can take an L. It's nobody's gonna remember that he lost to Bryan Danielson, the greatest of all time, 4 months from now at All In. No one's gonna care. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
Then you can run back Danielson and Ospreay at like Wrestle Dream
title,
or something for the title. Just have Danielson win, cowards.
I don't hate that idea, like especially if they ran it back with, because that is one thing you could do to make that all that make sense, would be Danielson beating Ospreay in this match, and then Ospreay wins the title at Wembley, and then Danielson lays claim to being number one contender because he already has a win over Ospreay, and then Ospreay beats Danielson to retain the title. Then, so I could see that. I mean, it goes pretty much without saying, but like, is this the match that you're looking forward to the most? It seems to be the best match on the show.
Yeah, it'll probably be the best match on the show. I think Okada and Pac is going to be really, really good as well. I'm
gonna take Ospreay as my official prediction, but for are you gonna take Danielson or Ospreay as your official prediction?
I'm gonna take Ospreay just because I feel like Danielson just always wants to lose and it's annoying, but I do think that there is merit to Danielson actually winning and then building towards a rematch against Ospreay if Ospreay wins the title at All In, and doing a rematch with Danielson, whether it be All Out, whether it be Wrestle Dream, whenever it might be. But I think there's merit to that. Danielson, for some reason, just always wants to lose these matches, and Tony Khan's not going to tell him, hey, maybe you should win.
Well, you also brought up Okada and Pac. That as could be the best match on the show. I think that's going to be a damn good match as well. I think it's pretty obvious that Okada is going to retain there, but it should be a banger. What do you I guess, I mean, I know you're going to pick Okada as well, but where do you think both guys go after this match? Like, what does Okada do next with the title?
Okada makes funny faces while the Young Bucks and Jack Perry do a bunch of inside jokes.
It's probably a pretty good prediction. Do you expect to see Jack Perry at Dynasty?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it seemed like he finished up with New Japan at Windy City Riot. I don't know why they did the handshake with Shota. I thought that was unnecessary. But they did. But it seems like he's done with New Japan. He's going to come in. I don't feel like you do the footage stuff, make him part of this storyline, and then don't reintroduce him in this match.
Do you think he gets introduced in this match, or do you think he comes back during the Bucks and FTR ladder match to like help the Bucks out?
No, definitely the ladder match, not Pac and Okada. I was just,
but the reason I put that connection together is because Okada, of course, being in the Elite, I expect Jack Perry to also join the Elite. So like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. You asked what was next for Okada and Pac, and that's why I said Okada's in the background.
But would you do Pac and Jungle Boy? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe. I mean, you can if you want. I was saying Okada can make funny faces while Jack Perry and the Young Bucks do a bunch of inside jokes.
Oh, this is I misunderstood what you were saying. You're saying the next up for Okada is being like segments next to Jack Perry and the Young Bucks making faces while they. I see. Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely take Okada. But let's talk about the ladder match since we're talking about Jack Perry and him coming back. Do you think I'm going to take the Young Bucks to beat FTR to win the AEW World Tag Team title in the ladder match? What about you?
What if CM Punk returns.
Yeah, he's the devil
to help FTR. That's what they're setting up, right?
Yeah,
we heard some.
That's what AEW said. That's what they set up on TV last week.
We heard some CM Punk chants last night during the show. Mm-hmm. So maybe CM Punk.
Jeremy Freeze for you guys?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay. There you go. You said something, maybe CM Punk, and then you
maybe CM Punk is gonna return because the fans were chanting for CM Punk a little bit last night. Maybe CM Punk returns. They showed that footage.
They did.
That's what it's leading to, right?
They did. It seems to be pretty general consensus too that like most people seem to disagree with my take on that whole situation. There's some people that agree, but I think the majority of the people just think it was a really bad idea for AEW to put themselves in that spot with that footage. I understand that point of view too. But do you think that Jack Perry, do you think there's any chance that they actually get Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake as his music?
I feel like that's going to be super expensive. And
Me too.
I don't think they're going to, maybe as a one-off, like Tony has done the one-off stuff before, but then he's like, I paid more for this than like an entire wrestler salary. So that's not great.
Yeah. He's like, we had to make 10 cuts, but I got the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like Justin Timberlake ain't just like giving that song away for free, especially like I know it makes sense in the Jack Perry realm and stuff, but like Timberlake's under a lot of fire after Britney's book came out, and you know
I didn't know about this.
Oh yeah, he was not painted very favorably in her book, so I don't feel like he's gonna give that song, but yeah, you know what? Let me put this on this wrestling show, this song where I bury Britney and then get some random heat on me from wrestling fans. Like I feel like that's probably not what he wants either.
Was it? I mean, I got to look into that, but like, without getting I guess too into it, like, was it like real bad? Like, is like Timberlake like canceled, and I completely missed that? I did.
Like Timberlake didn't get canceled, but like he was not painted very favorably.
I mean, are we talking, is this a level of like Alanis Morissette, Dave Coulier back in the day? Like, is that kind of what we're talking about? You know what I mean? Like, where like Alanis Morissette did that whole song about You Ought to Know, and it was about him. And
right. That was they kept that on wax. Like, this was about like Justin was very much womanizer, very much did not want to have her kid and everything. Like,
okay,
there was a lot. No, people are like, I don't think wrestling fans read Britney's books or care about Justin Timberlake.
I had no idea.
We will cancel. You're not canceling Timberlake. My point to all of this is that I don't think Justin Timberlake is going to be like, hey, yeah, let me license this song to a wrestling company when this song is a reminder of all of the Britney stuff. It really is. It has nothing to do with wrestling fans and what they think about the song. I don't think Justin Timberlake gives a shit about that. I do think Justin Timberlake cares about what that song portrays and what it could bring up. And I don't think he just wants to. Yeah, I've heard that he doesn't even like play the song in concert anymore because he doesn't want it to, like, almost to be associated with it.
Gotcha.
That's where I'm coming from on this.
That makes sense. I didn't know any of that. I do think the Young Bucks are going to beat FTR though. Sounds like you agree.
Yeah, Jack Perry's going to raise the titles, right? And then Dax, his arms are too short to box with God to grab the titles.
Boxing with God. That's one of my favorite lines ever.
Maggie says there are women's wrestling fans who absolutely are aware. Yeah, look, I'm aware. There are plenty of people who are aware of it. Again, I don't think it's going to cancel Timberlake because it cancels Timberlake when it all first came out. He still put out like a new album and all this stuff. I'm more talking about from the Timberlake perspective.
Yeah. I'm not like trying to downplay that there's women wrestling fans. Of course there are. We love you, Maggie. You know, you're a women's wrestling fan. A woman who is a wrestling fan. But yeah, for sure. That was something just like wasn't on my radar at all. So honestly, the last I've seen of Britney Spears, I hadn't seen like anything of her in forever. And then like, I don't even have an Instagram account, but I started like getting just like random videos of her like dancing on Instagram. I was like, is this what Britney Spears is doing now? I had no idea what she was up to. So
she has a residency, I believe, in Vegas.
That makes sense. Does she do like a Vegas show? I bet she does like a consistent show there and just kills it. Like probably just makes a ton of money doing like a show in Vegas.
I literally just said she has a residency in Vegas.
No. I'm saying like, does that mean she does a show? Like,
yes.
Okay. I don't know the lingo that much. All right. Anyways, what else we got on this show? We've got Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. I think that'll be a banger also, given the history of those two guys. I would prefer if Kyle won. I'm a humongous Kyle fan, one of my favorite in-ring workers of all time. Love that he's back from injury. I imagine though that Roddy is probably going to retain. But similar to, you brought up MJF earlier and like, what does he do and who does he feud with when he comes back if Adam Cole isn't ready? That's a good question because I've said it before and I'll say it again. The Undisputed Era sucks ass. Oh, sorry. Undisputed Kingdom. I'm sorry. Undisputed Era was awesome. Undisputed Kingdom sucks ass. It is a bad group. Wardlow is just pigeonholed as just like doofus. I don't think you can do anything at this point to get people that invested or care that much about Bennett and Taven. And Adam and Roderick Strong is always going to be a great in-ring worker, but like he's the only guy that I think is like, that anyone really cares about at all in the group at the moment. And even then, like he's carrying a title that like, I mean, when you look at this grand scheme of things, I'd put the TNT title over that. Obviously you put the world title over that. You put the TNT title over that. You put the Continental title over that. So it's like, okay, he's holding a belt that's like the fourth one down. Maybe even the FTW title might be more valuable. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, that's what you got going for Roddy. And then Adam Cole either isn't on the show like at all, or when he is, it's kind of hard to be intimidating when like you talk all this trash, but like you're so hurt that like you can't stand and do anything about it. Like you're just like talking trash from a chair with an injured, with an injured ankle, like saying, I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to come back. Like I'm this devil. And then on top of it, I'll say this too. And this is coming from somebody who obviously I can separate, kayfabe and, real life and all this stuff. But like, I think it's a questionable decision. I could be people probably disagree, but some people might agree. I think it's a questionable decision, like mid-feud, like mid-story of this whole Adam Cole devil thing where he's supposed to be the devil, this despicable human being who set up MJF for all this time and put this whole Undisputed Kingdom together and all this stuff. And he's about to come out with a gaming podcast with Evil Uno talking about video games as the chugs.
It's dead, brother.
No, but I know, but I'm just like, and it's AEW branded. It's not even like this is just like his Twitch channel where he's just doing it on his spare time. This is like AEW on screen being like, hang out with the fun, cool guy, Adam Cole, like this nice guy who plays video games. Like he's supposed to be the devil. And we're like, but no, tune in. Like he's a good dude, like laughing it up with his little Sonic logo. Like I just feel like that's weird to me. Like right now to do that, especially like the guy's not on TV because he's hurt, but he's supposed to be the devil. So anyway, I just think that's weird a little bit. Do you agree with that? Do you think it's kind of weird that they would do that now?
Well, he's not on TV, so who cares? I think the biggest, I agree. It's a disconnect there. I get it. Like he was still doing his Twitch stream.
He was on with Kenny recently. Like the two of them together did like a Twitch stream and stuff. But my thing is more so like this is an AEW branded podcast. Like this isn't just like him on his own time. This is AEW telling us this guy who's supposed to be the most evil villain in our company is this good, funny sweetheart who likes video games. Go check him and Evil Uno playing video games out together.
Are they weird. Like you pay more attention to this? Have they promoted that on television?
They did last night. They put a graphic about it, like Excalibur. Someone said something about it on commentary, and that's honestly that's why I am bringing it up today because I know that on social media they had brought it up, but they actually brought it up on the show yesterday. So that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd promote it so much on the show. I mean, look, the devil stuff is flopped anyway. We're 4 months. We're 4 months into it, and they couldn't do anything with it because MJF's off television and Adam Cole can't walk. So the two biggest players in this story can't continue the story. So we're left with Roddy, who's fine, but they reduced him to a comedy character all of last year. And then Undisputed, or the Kingdom, Taven and Bennett, who look, the ROH tag team champions, allegedly. So they're there. And Wardlow, who they've reduced to just a dude. So it's all been a flop. They can't really go anywhere with it. They dropped the ball immediately. They could have maybe, used the Devil to do other things to the title, done something with the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold, but instead they're feuding with each other, even though the whole reason they aligned was to go after the Devil group. So it was a disconnect from the start. So it's not, now they're just disconnecting it more with the Evil Uno, Adam Cole. Fine, whatever.
I'm saying this once again I am a diehard AEW fan. Day one AEW. Like, I love AEW. I'm a big Tony Khan fan. Like, believe it or not, like I really want this company to do great. I really love it. But like, MJF's like, he's got to get out. Like, he's got to get out, or like they got to completely pivot what their plans are for him when he returns. Like, this is like, I'm way more concerned about MJF than I am the actual Undisputed Kingdom. You know what I mean? Because like, if that's what he's coming back to, is MJF as a babyface feuding with this group that nobody cares about.
It's Hogan. It's Hogan in the Dungeon of Doom. It's gonna rule.
Well, that storyline got me into wrestling. I've talked about that. That was my first feud that I remember when I was 6 years old. I thought the Taskmaster Kevin Sullivan was the top heel in wrestling history when I started watching wrestling. That tree of woe that he put people in, I was like, who's going to ever get out of this thing? Then he introduced the Giant, and I was like, who's going to ever beat this guy? But anyways, I feel bad for MJF. I hope they figure, because he shouldn't even be a babyface to begin with, in my opinion. Like, I think that was a bad idea to even turn him babyface. If they were going to do it, I think it should have been like really, really temporary. But I don't know. They got to figure that out. Moving on, a few more things, and we got other topics.
Well, real quickly, Shaitan Spurs says, honestly, have the Undisputed Kingdom move down to ROH, have them dominate down there while they figure out what to do. I agree. Like,
that's not a bad idea.
Taven and Bennett are the ROH tag team champions. They probably should be on that show a little bit, but they're not.
Well, they were out there celebrating with Mark Briscoe when he won the ROH tag team title, won the ROH world title a couple weekends ago. And like, once again, like, I get that they've been friends forever and in real life, and like, there is a separation, but once again, it's like, these guys are supposed to be a part of this devil group, these evil villains, but at the end of the show, they're holding up the babyface champion. It's just like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of weird to me, some of the like decision making, where like what's happening in real life that everybody knows just contradicts what you're actually seeing on the show. And I don't know. It's just a little bit strange of a look. I'm not necessarily like, it doesn't really affect me one way or another, to be completely honest. It's just there's kind of weird decisions, in my opinion.
Like something like that, I'm okay with. I'm okay with the Adam Cole and doing the Elite Arcade thing. Just book a better television show when it comes to these particular guys. And like, right now there's certain circumstances. I love, excuse me. I love the ROH idea. I think that's good.
Yep.
I think that you can put them on ROH, the ROH tag team champions. Radrick Strong can have really good matches down there. Yeah, look, Wardlow can do stuff down there. Wardlow and Mark Briscoe is a cool feud. Like, you can do plenty of stuff with them in ROH that actually books a show for ROH, and isn't just, hey, here's a random match because we have a pay-per-view coming up.
Honestly, that's a great idea. They should just push Wardlow as a singles guy towards the top of Ring of Honor. That's not a bad idea at all, actually. What else do we got on this show that you want to highlight? We got Toni Storm versus Thunder Rosa. I think Toni Storm's going to retain. That should be a good one, though. Thunder Rosa never lost the title, right? So this is her finally like getting a shot after all this time. You got Toni Storm in that one too.
Yeah, I think Tony's going to win.
Yeah, should be a good match. And I got to give AEW a lot of credit for their production, how they keep her like black and white, and like all the segments, even when like it's like multiple people on the screen, how they're able to filter her. I think that's really, really clever how they do that. Julia Hart and Willow Nightingale. I'm actually going to take Willow to beat Julia for the TBS championship. What about you?
Yeah, Willow, I assume, wins because they're setting up Willow and Mercedes for Double or Nothing.
Do you think that they've fumbled Mercedes pretty hard so far? Like just not having her wrestle or anything up to this point? Like
the word fumble is funny to me.
It's pretty accurate though, right? It's like, what are you doing? Like I feel like she should have way more momentum in the company than she does.
She's clearly, I don't know if it's clear, but like she's not cleared. And I mean, she said it as much last night, but they tried to make it because it was the attack and everything. I don't know if they fumbled her. I guess the argument is if you knew she wasn't going to be cleared and being able to wrestle until May, why debut her in March? Maybe you should have just held off even further. But they debuted her when they debuted her. Like, but
to be fair, I didn't know she wasn't clear. I forgot that she wasn't clear when I mentioned that. So that's fair.
Well,
she's not been wrestling.
In fairness to you and a lot of people, she said she was 100% healthy in interviews. She said it in an ESPN interview, like, I'm healthy, I'm good. But she obviously isn't, because I feel like she would have wrestled by now. And again, now they're saying she's not cleared because of the attack last week. I don't think they fumbled her. I do think that it's been a little bit of a miss in that her strength is her wrestling. That's her biggest strength. I think she's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and she hasn't been able to wrestle. So we have not seen her play to her strengths. Instead, it's just been a lot of backstage promos or just in-ring promos, and people want to see her wrestle. That's what she's best at.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's fair. And to be fair, obviously the reason she came in when she did is because they wanted her on the Boston show. Like I get.
Well, they announced that Boston. Like they didn't have to set up Boston that day. They could have.
That's a good point.
Somewhere else.
They put that together for her. You're right. You're right about that. Chi-Town Spurs with a super chat. Thank you, Chi-Town, for always being in here. I know you don't always agree with my takes, but I agree. I appreciate that you're in here giving your opinions every week. He just sent another super chat. I'm gonna pull it up. Says, I believe they I believe they brought Mercedes. Sorry, I can't read today. I believe they brought in Mercedes when they did because it's when they could get the TD Garden. Celtics and Bruins are both very, very good and poised for big playoff runs. In that vein, I understand. I don't know much about that side of it, to be honest. With like the Celtics and the Bruins, how they're doing.
The Bruins are poised for a big playoff run last year, and that didn't go very far for them. The Celtics are he's not wrong, and that both teams are poised for a big playoff run. Maybe that played something into it, and it's like, hey, we can get it now in March. Let's go ahead and do that. We don't know if it's going to be available mid-April or early May to bring her in. So that could be part of it. But I don't know. They're going to have road games as well. I mean, I guess I can pull up the TD Garden. Regardless, they brought her in when they brought her in. She wasn't ready, and now they've just had to have her be on television the way she's been on television and not be able to wrestle. So
delayed grad says Stephen Jensen, non-sports fan confirmed. It's funny because I can't name the platform because we have deals and stuff with some people, I guess, for Fightful. But I like to do sports betting or whatever, right? Like, so like I pay attention from that standpoint. I know what players do well, but I'm not that tapped into like the records of the teams and stuff. I just kind of look like day by day to see like how many points they're scoring or whatever, right? So like, but like for the NFL, I'm very into the NFL. Like I can talk about that all day. There are certain sports I am very into, but NBA and NHL for me is mainly like the actual players and kind of what their prop bets are looking like and whatnot. Grat's saying just kidding. No, it's all good. The hockey is the one I know the least about in general for sure, but it's the most fun to watch outside of the NFL. To me, the hockey is the most, and MMA, that's a sport obviously also. I know everything about MMA, but like, actually, we have a little bit of MMA and football talk with Cole Radrick in the interview a little bit later. So, my main extent of hockey knowledge is I've talked about. I have a Pecorine jersey that I bought years ago when I lived in Nashville when they went on that run when they went to the Stanley Cup. Didn't win, but I lived in Nashville as the Predators went from complete nobodies to becoming. I used to go to Predators games and sit on the glass for like $30. You know what I mean? And now it's like you can't get in the building for like less than probably close to 100. You know what I mean? It's like completely changed. Anyways, the only other things on the show, not really worth deep diving in my opinion, but we got Adam Copeland, Eddie Kingston, and Mark Briscoe taking on the House of Black. I'm going to take the babyface team there, and I feel like Malachi, just like everyone else, I feel like Malachi's kind of on like borrowed time. Like he probably not going to, I don't know. That group just seems checked out to me, but that also could just be me. And then you have the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn, who I consistently forget have titles, versus Bullet Club Gold, who are wasting Jay White's abilities by the day, and the Guns for all the 6-man titles that nobody cares about. So I'll take Bullet Club Gold, I guess, in that one. I don't know.
I'm glad they're combining the titles. It doesn't really mean much unless they actually move forward with a plan for it. And I don't know if that's going to happen or not, because they haven't put much effort into the trios titles for months now. And just because you're combining the titles doesn't mean you're going to start putting the effort into it. Nothing was stopping you from putting the effort into it before. So and just because they're going to combine it, that doesn't mean, now they're really going to book the trios division strong. It could still be booked the same way. It's just now you have one less set of titles, which is fine. You weren't doing anything with the ROH 6-man tag titles either. But again, I'm not going crazy of like, good, they're finally combining the titles. This is what they need. Because if they're still just going to keep them how they've been doing, it doesn't really change a whole lot. Yeah,
I mean, people already didn't care about the Ring of Honor trios titles. And then the AEW ones were made clearly specifically for the elite. And then when they won them, they were stripped immediately because of Brawl Out. And they were doomed from the start. And they were never established how they needed to be. Delayed Rats with another super chat. His apology super chat. Keep the great work, Stephen and Jeremy. No need to apologize at all whatsoever. This was, I believe he's talking about because he said I was not a sports fan or whatever. If you want to ask, you want to send another super chat, if you just ask another question or have anything you want to put in the comments, we'll keep a lookout for it. You send us $10. You don't need to send a $10 apology, but if you want to ask some questions or something, we'll answer them since you sent some money just now. But that's AEW Dynasty. I don't know if you have any closing thoughts on that, but I think it's going to be a banger card. I mean, from top to bottom, like on paper, this is a great show. AEW, in my opinion, can't miss on pay-per-view. They always bring it. There's only been like one AEW pay-per-view ever that I was like, this was a dud. And I think it was, which one was it? Was it the MJF Samoa Joe show? It was like really bad. There was one AEW pay-per-view pretty recently, and I was like, this just wasn't good. And I can't remember. I'm so bad at remembering the pay-per-view names.
All of them have like at least
World's End. That was the one. Well, I didn't like
that was MJF Samoa Joe.
Yeah, I didn't like that show.
Okay. Right.
Every other, but I think that if you're a pro wrestling fan, you owe it to yourself to watch. Even if you don't watch AEW, watch the pay-per-view, because most likely you will get your money's worth. So.
The build to this show has been a little less than desired in some aspects. I think on paper, the actual card is going to deliver. I rarely will knock an AEW card as far as like what it looks like on paper. And then the wrestlers most of the time deliver on that card. But I do think some of the build has been a little off kilter. I don't know if that's the right word, but unbalanced maybe is the word that I'm looking for. But it's going to be a great show.
Yeah, well. So looking forward to it. We had a lot of good wrestling this weekend. We got that on Sunday night. We'll talk a little bit of TNA here shortly too. We got TNA on Saturday. I'll be doing the post show on Saturday night with Crest the Star and I think Joel. I don't know. I talked to Joel a little bit. I know he's going through a tough time, but if he's up to
Joel said he was doing the post show last night.
Is he? Okay. if he's up to it, obviously I'm really looking forward to seeing him there. If for any reason he can't make it, I completely understand, and I'll be able to hold it down. So yeah, good wrestling.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
The story doesn't finish. It just continues. There you go. Cody said goodbye to Raw, Jensen. Did you shed a tear in this promo?
No, he'll be on both shows going forward. I'm not worried about it.
I don't think you will be.
I think he will be. Maybe not every single week, but he'll have a presence on both shows.
There's a draft coming up. I don't think he will be on both shows going forward.
Dude.
I think whatever show he gets drafted to, he's going to be on that show.
Only, because that's how it's always worked. I think that hashtag the draft, or sorry, I always say hashtag the brand split isn't real, because within weeks they'll start popping up on both shows. It doesn't make any difference, or they'll make up some BS wild card rule or something or whatever. Like he'll be on both.
I don't think he'll be on both.
I think he'll be on one more often than the other, but I think he'll have a presence on both shows. I mean, it'd be good for like the other world title if he wasn't. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
why
I
don't think he's going to be on both. I think he's going to be on SmackDown and kind of only SmackDown moving forward. I think Raw will be the Damian Priest show, or whatever. Damian Priest for right now, whoever maybe wins the title later, but they have CM Punk, they have Drew McIntyre. I assume they're going to probably stay on Raw for the time being. I think Cody is going to remain on SmackDown and only SmackDown.
But when does Netflix and Raw start? At the beginning of 2025?
Yeah, January.
Then they're going to have another draft before then, right? Most likely.
Probably not.
So it's hard for me to believe that Cody won't have any presence on Netflix, Raw on Netflix.
That's January, though. We have months until then.
I mean, that's not that long from now. I mean, it's
what
like
do you mean it's not that long from now?
Dude, you really think let's put this out there right now. Do you really think that Cody's not going to show up on Raw at all between now and the beginning of the year?
He will, but he's not going to be consistent on the show. He's not going to be there every single week. I don't think we're going to see Cody on Raw.
Of at least once a month, which is pretty consistent when you think about it. Like 4 shows a month.
I'll take that bet.
We'll come up with the bet. You still owe me, by the way, the last bet that you lost. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be wrong, I guess, but I mean, Cody's the face of your company and he's full time and he's willing to do both shows. I don't know why you wouldn't have him involved at all. Maybe not every single week, because if you want to have a brand split and you want to establish Damian Priest's title further as like its own actual world title, but
there's no point in having that title if Cody's going to show up.
There already wasn't.
Well, I agree, but there's really no point in it if Cody's going to show up both weeks. That's why I think you have to keep them separate.
Right. Well, no, I agree, but I'm saying like we don't know until it starts happening. But I think I'd put good money on like at least once a month he shows up on Raw. But anyway, him on Raw, I liked the segment, I guess, but it was funny because it was really just about like Cody came out on Monday and was like, so like what's going on right now? So like we got Tama Tonga. We got, the bloodline stuff going on. We got this and that. We got Jay Uso. Come on out, Jay. All right. Like, it was just like him just basically just kind of like thinking out loud to the crowd. Like, this is kind of like the spot that we're in right now. And then let's bring Jay on out.
Right. Because he doesn't have anything to do on Raw. That's why he's leaving the brand.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pretty much.
Okay. So you agree?
Yeah, that was the segment though. It was him just basically like,
has Cody already failed as a champion because that promo was so nothing?
Well, no, it was so nothing because like he's going to be on SmackDown going forward probably. But I think, like I said, I think he's still going to have some sort of presence on Raw fairly consistently, but not, But yeah, I mean that's why they did that the way that they did. I don't have a problem with it, and it definitely isn't failing as a champion.
I don't know.
I've seen some people online already like turn on him, and I'm like, you people are so fickle to give Cody Rhodes a one week and then be like, oh, I don't know, this is kind of boring me now. It's like,
Feels like Cody's already failed as champion.
All right. Well, what else was there? I don't know. There's not a lot to talk about with Cody this week at the moment because he's going to be feuding with or going to be most likely to be AJ Styles versus AJ. Yeah, the AJ versus LA Knight is this week, right? And then
they don't want to put him up against LA Knight and get overshadowed with the pops. So
I'm not that concerned about that. Although LA Knight gets a good pop, I'm not going to take that away from him.
He would completely overshadow Cody's reaction.
Definitely disagree with that. It'd be interesting to see though. But I mean, I'm looking forward to AJ and Cody though. I think that's going to be awesome. And they obviously have the history, both being, in the Bullet Club and stuff. And that's a match that I don't think we've got that match in the WWE at all since Cody's been back because he was hurt and then he was on the other brand and stuff. So, I mean, that's got to be the move, right? You do AJ. I mean, LA Knight, it'd be interesting to do a babyface match in this new era and just like let the fans choose. But I think it's a no-brainer that AJ is going to be the challenger, and that's the match I want to see more as a wrestling fan. I'd rather see AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes. So
it'll be Cody Rhodes and AJ Styles. It'll be a good match.
Yeah, it's a great way to kick off Cody's run, also, and it's for people who may not remember, not that long ago when AJ Styles debuted in the WWE, it was like the same trajectory because like when he came in, he lost to Jericho at WrestleMania and then he
wasn't the same trajectory at all.
Well, no, what I'm saying is so when AJ came in, he lost to Jericho, but then he was like the challenger for Roman, after that. Roman was the champion and AJ became the challenger, and that's how he established himself. But he had really good matches with Roman for the title. It's kind of what I'm saying is you can do that with Cody.
Cody never friggin' lost when he first came in. His loss was to Roman a year later. AJ came in, was losing. He got paired with Jericho. He had to do with the feud with The Miz. He lost to Roman. AJ was just a giant loser his first year. And then finally they were like, oh, maybe this guy's actually good. Let's put the title on him. It wasn't close to the same. Yeah, Pete Ambrose.
Well, no, what I mean is AJ is a good challenger for somebody trying to establish himself as a champion. He's going to have good matches with people. Even if he loses, it's going to help establish whoever that is my point.
Cody definitely needs to help being established. He's not very well known. He's not sure he could be the face of the company.
My point is AJ Styles, you're guaranteed to have a good match, great title defense. Everything's going to work versus there are other people on the WWE roster that wouldn't be able to do it to the same level as AJ in this position is what I'm saying. AJ is a safe challenger for Cody's first title defense.
Rhea Ripley relinquished the women's title.
She did. I feel bad for her that she had to do that. And was she legitimately injured on that backstage segment where she got thrown into the wall by Liv? Was that actually how she got hurt?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah.
What a bummer that's the way of all ways is it didn't happen in the ring. You never want to see someone get hurt, obviously, but for it to be something that small, a little backstage scuffle and and all you're doing is just trying to not actually get thrown into a wall. You just kind of put your arm out or your elbow out or whatever to just kind of break the fall a little bit. That's just super unfortunate. That's the equivalent of that's I don't, not the same degree with the actual injury, but I was going to say it's similar almost to Kirk Cousins or somebody when they Aaron Rodgers or whatever, where it's all they're doing is walking backwards or forwards and their Achilles tears. You're just how the hell did that happen? You run around full speed, nothing happens. You walk backwards. Teddy Bridgewater's knee blew up 10 years ago or whatever. You literally non-contact, no pads, took a snap and was walking backwards and his leg just exploded. It's it's kind of the same kind of feeling where it's of all things, how the hell is that what got Rhea after this amazing title run she's had for over the last year? For it to have to end off of that is just super unfortunate. She must be out for a while too if they're going to strip her of the title.
She said a few months.
I hope. Well, I shouldn't say I hope. I hope she's back fast. I do hope that. But like, part of me is also like, I almost kind of hope she's out longer because they stripped her of the title. Because otherwise, like Seth Rollins held on to his while he was hurt and stuff. You know what I mean? I know they were building to WrestleMania, a little bit different circumstances maybe, but like, you know what I mean? Doesn't that seem a little strange? Like, why does Rhea have to vacate her title if she's not going to be out that long and other people didn't?
Well, it's pretty clear that she's going to be out a few months, and Seth was only out a few weeks.
I guess I felt like Seth was out longer than that from actually wrestling.
Seth really didn't need to wrestle to... The Mania match was the important thing,
right?
When it came to Seth. I think if he was going to miss Mania, they probably would have stripped him. But they knew he was going to be ready for Mania. They're like, we don't really need any title defenses. He was supposed to reportedly wrestle Bronson Reed at Elimination Chamber. But, that match got pulled because of Seth's injury. And they didn't feel... The Mania thing was the important thing there. Him making that date was the important part. If he was not going to be able to make that date, they probably would have stripped him and done something else. With Rhea, she's probably going to miss multiple shows, and their feeling is, okay, well, we're going to need a champion here.
Which is fair. I get that. But did you say that, excuse me, did you say that they were planning on doing Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins at Elimination Chamber?
That was reportedly the plan, yeah.
And because that was in Australia. But like, Bronson wanted like not even be on the show, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. He was going to be the world title challenger, and then he wasn't even on the card in his own home crowd. That's weird.
Well, it worked out because his wife had their baby, and so he may have ended up missing the show anyway because of that.
Well, that's fair. I did not consider that.
Chad
Anyways,
Gable.
I hope Rhea Ripley gets better soon. Oh yeah, and Chad Gable, that was a great ending to Raw. What a great and I love, man, I know I've seen a lot of people talk about it, but I love that one shot camera work that they did, like when Jay left the building and then Sammy's standing outside the front door and then they followed him back in and he went through the crowd, he went through the concession area and everything, and then the actual match ruled. And then I love the heel turn at the end, because he already was like pretty much, he was vibing heel throughout this whole thing, but then when he German suplexed Sammy in front of his family on the outside and then put him in that ankle lock up on the top rope, I was like, Raw was a great show. I'm thoroughly enjoying the WWE product. And I know that a lot of people are, well, Cody's the champion. Yeah, that's a big part of it. But like everything underneath that has been great lately. I'm thoroughly enjoying what I'm seeing. And that definitely includes Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. So
Chad Gable's heel turn was very good. I don't think he's going to win the title from Sammy. But I do love that. I love how it was shot where he's hugging his wife and then Gable just comes up from behind and grabs him and suplexes him on the floor. It's good. It's good. Yeah. Good episode of Raw, even though it's still too long. 3 hours is too long.
Cool. We can move on. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Tama Tonga? Talk about Tama Tonga?
Oh yeah, sure. I forgot that was, we haven't been on here since you debuted. Obviously, I'm very aware of Tama Tonga. I liked his work in New Japan. I was a real big fan of his years ago during the Girls of Destiny run when he had like the longer hair, the face paint and all that stuff, longer beard. It's been a long time coming, it feels like, for him to come to WWE. He's kind of up there in age, I think. I think he's probably around 40 years old. He's been around for a while. Yeah, the timing is right. I mean, and he makes sense to be a part of the bloodline. He's the son of Ming / Haku, who's like not technically in that family, but like is a part of the family by association. Like they consider that to be family. So like, and then we talked about it before. I'm sure Jacob Fatu will come in eventually, Zella Fatu, maybe GC Finale. Like there's going to be other people that are going to come in for this whole Bloodline 2.0 thing. And I like that Heyman is conflicted because like someone's giving orders that he's not in the loop for. And I like that Heyman's like scared of Solo now and stuff. I like where this is all heading so far. And my presumption, and we talked about it last week, is that The Rock is taking over the bloodline and he's not going to be there often. And you were saying like, well, they won't do that because like, if he's not going to be on the show, like he can't just be leading the group. But if they do it the way that it looks like they're like they could do it this way, where if he's not there all the time, but like he's still giving orders to the group, and Heyman is conflicted, and you add more members, and then when The Rock comes back, he kind of takes it over while he's there and stuff. I think it's going to work really well. So I'm looking forward to this whole story continuing to play out. And then when Roman comes back, he'll be a babyface, and that'll be interesting.
We'll see if Roman's going to be a babyface.
Yeah, I mean that's not a lock, but I think that eventually, I think eventually, like whenever we eventually get The Rock versus Roman will be the babyface in that scenario. It might take until this WrestleMania, it might take till next WrestleMania. Who knows? But like, that's my assumption. And part of that too is probably just The Rock probably loving the run he's on right now. They kind of like fell in certain ways. They kind of fell into this because this was not the plan. Obviously, they were going to do Rock and Roman this year, and Rock was going to be a babyface and all that stuff. He's got to be loving the position he's in as a heel right now, and they just want to keep going with it. Like it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean?
Oh, he wants to be cheered at some point. He does.
At some point, but give it time. Right now, it's working great as a heel.
He's even breaking kayfabe online. He's saying Seth Rollins is the MVP. He had so much fun in his run. He wants to be cheered.
Well,
our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
TNA Rebellion is Saturday night against 3 hours of AEW. People might watch. I don't know. I'm watching the NBA playoffs. What are you looking forward to on this show, Jensen?
So I'm going to do this really quick because we have some other big topics we got to get to. I will say I did predictions for this on the Weekender, so check out the Fightful Select Weekender podcast if you want full predictions for TNA Rebellion. I will be on the post show, as I mentioned before, right after the show on the main YouTube channel here on Fightful, right where you're watching me right now. Saturday night, join us for the post show review. Myself, Joel Pearl, and Crescent Star. As far as stuff that I'm looking forward to on the show, I think the match that's the most hard for me to decide a winner on, I think, is Josh Alexander and Hammerstone. They're having a last man standing match. It's a rubber match between the two. I just have this gut feeling that Nick Nemeth is going to beat Moose for the TNA World Title. I just have a feeling about it. Could be totally off, but I just have a feeling about it. And if he becomes the champion, I think that you're going to have some heel challengers ready for him. I think Hammerstone is someone you can do. So if Hammerstone beats Alexander, and also that way, because it's last man standing, Hammerstone doesn't have to pin Alexander. Like Alexander still stays in like kind of the status he's at, like upper main event type guy for TNA. So you can set up Hammerstone and Nemeth potentially. And also I feel the same about like Kazarian versus Eric Young. I personally like to see Eric Young win Full Metal Mayhem. I'm just a bigger fan of Eric Young than Kazarian just on this as like a wrestler. But Kazarian winning could make sense though, because if he wins that, he could potentially be a challenger for Nemeth as well. And Kazarian's trying to do this whole like King of TNA thing. Jake Something versus Mustafa Ali, I think will be a really good match. I'm looking forward to that one. Stylistically, that should be very interesting. I think it's going to work really well. Jordan Grace and Seth Delander, I think, will be really good too. I expect Jordan Grace to retain there. So that's the main stuff. There's a pre-show match that, like, if anyone's on the fence about buying the show, I think they're really smart to put Leon Slater, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay against the Rascals from that perspective on the pre-show, because that's going to be one of the best matches on the entire night, I think. Leon Slater, ABC versus the Rascals. So they got some good stuff on Rebellion this weekend.
Does the pre-show really convince people to buy these shows?
Probably not, but I mean that's the theory. I think is like, because that match doesn't necessarily like trump anything on the pay-per-view as far as like importance on the show. Like you probably don't need to do that 6-man match more than you need to do like anything that's on the actual card. The other stuff has like more stakes to it. But I think the idea is like, well, if we put this on the pre-show and people see it for free, they might just stumble across it on YouTube or whatever. You know what I mean? Like maybe someone who had no plans of ordering the show or was on the fence about ordering the show sees that match and they're like, well, if the whole night's going to look like this, I'll pay, $30 or whatever to buy the pay-per-view. So, who knows? I think that's the idea.
I'm just like in general, I wonder how much pre-show influence have. This is why I think WWE, I'm never mad at them, was like, oh, why don't they have pre-show matches? I don't know. Does like, if you see this big battle royal or you see this match, like does this convince you to buy the show? I feel like most people have made up their mind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's because like I'm in such a bubble. I fully admit that like I know whether I got to order all these shows anyway. But like the people that I see online are already made up their mind. Nobody's like, you know what? I wasn't going to order this show, but man, that Leon Slater match just convinced me I should definitely get
Now,
this show.
don't slander Leon Slater. Leon Slater is fantastic.
No, he is. But you can use
I know what you're saying. But also what I kind of want to keep in mind, especially right now, because I'm seeing a lot of this right now. And I know WrestleMania obviously is a way, way, way bigger thing than Rebellion. I'm not even comparing the two. I get that. But like, I've seen so many people, like YouTubers, influencers, whoever, like people that do not talk about wrestling, that do not know anything about wrestling. So many people recently I've been seeing either tweeting or making videos or whatever, being like, I just started watching WWE like around WrestleMania and I'm hooked now. You know what I mean? Like they're brand new fans that like had no interest before. And now they're all in on the product. And the reason I bring that up is because like, I think it's possible when you put really good matches on YouTube live for free, the algorithm pumps that up to random people who have no interest in wrestling at all. They might just come across it and be like, they see Leon Slater do a Swanton 450 and they're like, how much is this show? What is this? You know what I mean? Like it's a shot, you know, it's a shot in the dark and hope that maybe you make some new fans out of it. Or like I said, there are probably not a ton of people. Most, like you said, most people have made their mind up already before the pre-show if they're going to buy the show or not. But I do think it's possible that you could be like kind of a fringe TNA fan. Like you kind of like the show, you kind of keep up with it. You put the pre-show on just because you got nothing better to do and it's free. And they have a banger match and you're like, screw it, I'll buy the pay-per-view. I got nothing else going on, you know? So, you know, can't hurt.
You could be right. I don't know.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I get it.
Do you want to talk about Moxley winning the IWGP?
Yes,
title?
let's talk about that real quick. And then Action Dean. Was there any other topics that I'm forgetting? It was just Action Dean is the last topic. Okay, cool. Yeah, we got time. So Moxley, yes, I will go ahead and say it right now. I talked about this on the Weekender as well. But congratulations to Jon Moxley winning the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Defeated Tetsuya Naito for the title in Chicago. Really cool for him. You know, I'm obviously a huge Jon Moxley fan. I got all the respect in the world for that guy. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that he doesn't need to do any of this. Like he's a multimillionaire. He was good on money, you know, when he was in the WWE, you know. He's obviously good on money with what he makes for AEW. He doesn't have to work New Japan if he doesn't want to work New Japan. He doesn't have to work any GCW while he was the GCW champion. He doesn't have to show up at Bloodsport. He doesn't have to show up at, you know, all these indie events that he pops up on Revolver and whatnot. Like he loves professional wrestling and he wears it on his sleeve. It's in his heart. Like I tweeted it right after he won the title. I tweeted like, you know, no ego, strong body, strong mind, strong spirit, you know, because that's how I view Jon Moxley is, you know, I know he said that. He said the opposite about CM Punk, of course. That's what I'm referencing. But I truly believe that about Jon Moxley. I think when I think about professional wrestlers, like he's one of the guys who would be in like the dictionary for like professional wrestler to me. So God, I got mad love and mad respect for Jon Moxley. So I'm happy that he's the IWGP champion. He's the first guy ever, right, to be the WWE champion, the IWGP heavyweight, and the AEW heavyweight. So good for him. If anyone can do that, I'm glad it was him.
It was a good victory. You know, he was on Dynamite last night. He made Dynamite feel a lot better. Like Jon Moxley just having a presence on that show makes it feel like a bigger show. Yeah, it was cool to see him win the title and accomplish that goal. Now he's going to keep defending it at New Japan. I assume he'll hold the title until at least Forbidden Door. That's my assumption.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, you won't catch me saying anything negative about Jon Moxley here. You know what I mean? Not that you're trying to, but like anyone who's in here or anything like that's Jon Moxley's a made man as far as I'm concerned. I'm a huge fan.
We talked a little bit about Jack Perry and returning, but what'd you think of the Windy City Riot and the reaction?
It was awesome. I mean, that's what they're going for. That's like what they're leaning into. Came out with the Chicago flag with a Crimea River jacket, you know, coming off the heels of the footage. Like, that's exactly what they're going for.
The respect thing at the end of the match. Didn't need it.
I agree with that. I agree with
Didn't
that.
need it. All right. Move on to our indie spotlight.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
Action Dean, it took place over WrestleMania weekend, but we had so much to talk about last week with all the Cody and CM Punk stuff that we did not really get a chance to get into Action Dean. This was a show put on by Action Wrestling in honor of a message board poster. Jensen, you have more background on this than I do, but honor of the message board poster on the old DVDR.
Death Valley Driver review.
Yeah.
His name is Dean Rasmussen. Is the guy
hey.
who Action Dean is named after. The show is available on IWTV. You can use code Fight Talk if you want to go check it out. It just lets the platform know that I sent you over there. This was a great show. It was out of the H2O arena, so it was an action show, but it was kind of sort of like a joint show between Action and H2O. I mean, it was really cool because, I mean, there was a lot of people on those message boards back in the day that I'm sure people are really familiar with now through Twitter. Like David Bixenspan is one. Tony Khan, obviously, he was a big poster on that. And Tony Khan in the Ring of Honor post-show scrum when he was doing media, or talking to the media with the interviews and whatnot afterwards, he brought up, he was like, I'm sad I missed Action Dean. I wanted to be there live, but obviously because of my work schedule, his work schedule being running AEW and Ring of Honor over WrestleMania weekend, he couldn't make it to Action Dean. But like, that's how, for people who give Tony Khan all this crap and like think he's like a bad boss or this and that, I get there's certain qualities about him that, you know, he's much different than like your typical boss in a lot of ways. But like, you can't tell me he isn't a lifelong hardcore wrestling fan. Like, this guy has been on the message boards forever talking about wrestling. The reason he brought up Action Dean is because he was asked about Blue Panther versus Bryan Danielson. And he's like, man, I've always been a fan of CMLL. And I became a big fan mainly because of guys like Dean Rasmussen and people posting on DVDR. And I was on there too. And that's how I would talk to other fans about CMLL. And that's how it tied into Action Dean and him wanting to be at that show and stuff. So that's why when I say like Tony Khan is one of us, that's what I mean by that. There's a lot of people who don't like when I say that because they say he's a billionaire, he's a millionaire, you know, how he is not one of us. And my answer to that is like, from a monetary perspective, yeah, he's different he has a lot more money than I do for sure. But at the core of it, he's a wrestling fan. He's a little nerd like I am. He's a wrestling nerd. But if I had the money and the resources, I would want to do exactly what he did. He's putting his action figure federation on national television. That's incredible. Like, I would definitely do that if I had the money. Like, I don't hate on him for that. Like, good for him. And I get it. It's his dad's money or whatever. So what? Like, his dad was successful and he gave his kid a wrestling company. I don't care. It is what it is. But he's a wrestling fan. Always has been, always will be. One match I wanted to highlight from that show, the main event, Dana Makabe versus Timothy Thatcher. Makabe and Thatcher have wrestled 5 times, like throughout their history. And Makabe won this match. So he went up 3-2 in the series. Makabe is also the first person to win by pinfall in the series too. He won after 3 of like I call them baseball punches. They're like the Kushida style punch where you kind of like load it up and punch. Did 3 of those to put down Thatcher for the 1-2-3. It was a fantastic match. Makabe did a really good, cut a really good promo on the microphone after the match. Put over Dean, put over the forums and wrestling in general. And Makabe is going to be retiring soon. I believe his last match is going to be SCI weekend. At least I think that's what they were advertising, but he's been going on like a whole like dream run of like opponents recently. And he's one of the best technical wrestlers I've ever seen in my life. He just doesn't get the same kind of praise as like a Danielson or like even like a Daniel Garcia or like Lee Moriarty or whatever. Like or Zack Sabre Jr. But he's up there for me, honestly, because I've seen his work for so long. But he's also one of those guys he started wrestling. Makabe started wrestling in like the early 2000s, but it took him until he was like in his early to mid 30s before anybody really cared. Like his come up took forever. But then when he got there and started getting his recognition, it was like, holy cow, this guy's incredible. And ever since then, he's just been killing it. So, and then there was a match that I think you wanted to point out real quick as well from the show.
Adam Priest and Slim J.
Yeah.
People who maybe only know Slim J from the ROH and AEW work, I advise everyone to seek out this match and see what Slim J is fully capable of with more time, a little less restraints out there. And Adam Priest, we've had him on the show before. We've praised him on the show plenty.
Any style.
Yeah, he's fantastic. So yeah, Adam Priest and Slim J was a great match. And Matt Mikowski was also on the show. He talked about when he was on In the Weeds last week, he talked about his match on the show. He wrestled
Perez, right?
Yeah. So that was a great match as well. Yeah, this show had like a little bit of everything for you. If you're looking for something different in every single match, that was the show.
Yeah, great card. The one thing that would have been a little awkward, I guess, is like, Slim J had just been released by AEW. So if Tony Khan went to that show, that might have been a little weird. But at the same time, it's like, people also have to understand that happens in life. That happens with jobs. That happens all the time in wrestling, where like, you're going to have to be around people that you used to work with that you may have had to let go or whatever. Like it's a pretty, as big as the wrestling community is, it's still a very niche, small community in the grand scheme of things. And like, you can't have people under contract forever. Like stuff happens. And listen, I love Slim J. I've been a fan of his since his early Ring of Honor run. He's one of the best Southeast wrestlers like ever. Like he's always been great in Georgia, and he's consistently stayed on the indie scene, and he's fantastic in the ring. I'm a huge Slim J fan. It's not like I wanted to see him get let go by Ring of Honor / AEW, but it's also one of those things where it's like, I don't hate Tony Khan because of it. And I think that Tony Khan and Slim J, if they saw one another, I'm sure they could be respectful with one another. I'd say, so it's just one of those things where like, I just want to put that out there too. Slim J not only had a great performance in Action Dean, but it was coming off of the heels of literally being released that week. So he's like getting his traction back on the indies as well through that match. So check out Action Dean. It's available over on independentwrestling.tv. I can't say enough good things about it. It was probably for me, honestly, it was probably my favorite show of the entire WrestleMania weekend outside of like, WrestleMania night 2. But, Joey Janela's Spring Break, both shows were a lot of fun. Bloodsport was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really good shows and a lot of really good cards over the weekend. But Action Dean, I'm glad we got to talk about now because we weren't able to last week. But check it out. Oh, and also, if you want to know more about Action Wrestling, the plan is next week, the interview to be with Matt Griffin, who is the promoter, owner, operator, booker, all that stuff for Action Wrestling. He's supposed to be on the show next week. So he'll talk a little bit about Action Dean as well. And then they have another action show coming up this upcoming, not this Friday, but the Friday following when we interview him. So got some more Action Wrestling stuff coming up for you. And then the following week, we're supposed to have Mo's return, John Mosley, who y'all know as a commentator for GCW, ring announcer, all that stuff. But he also promotes the KOBK brand, and they have a show coming up on May 3rd. So we got some promoters for y'all the next couple of weeks. After you hear this interview, you're about to hear with our buddy, one of our favorite wrestlers, Cole Radrick, the Ratty Daddy, the Bloody Buddy. So anyways, I got to go clock in for work. I'm already late.
Do you want to plug anything, Jensen?
Follow me on Twitter, @FightTalk_. Listen to the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. I'm glad you reminded me. And this will be another weekender that you'll get on Monday, everybody, instead of Sunday, because we got so much wrestling, and then Sunday is going to be AEW day and all that. So Monday night, probably when I get off my shoot job, you'll get the weekender. So go over to FightfulSelect.com and check out the stuff over there. I'm going to go clock in for my shoot job. Good seeing you, Jeremy. Good seeing you, chat. And y'all have a great Thursday. Happy weekend. Enjoy some wrestling this weekend.
All right. Appreciate it as always, Jensen. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's get into it. Our pal Cole Radrick was back on the show. He just won the GCW Grab the Brass Ring ladder match at Joey Janela's Spring Break, giving him a shot at any of the titles whenever he wants. He also competed and helped put together the Clusterfuck Battle Royal. So we'll get some insight into that. He's got a big match against not Dr. Death, Steve Williams, at PawCade this Sunday. We surprised Cole with a little run-in during the show. We'll talk some football, talk some MMA. It's always good to have Cole on the show. So he's besides Mo's, I think he's our most view. Oh, okay. Well, we have another guest going on. Hello, Sean.
More importantly, I'm working that show this weekend.
Yeah.
To benefit the Humane Society of Washington County. I'm entering, I think it's a Rumble. I hope it's a Rumble. Although, you know what? I'd bump a lot less if it was just a battle royal. But
yeah, more people just in the ring there, so less bumping.
Yeah, less surface area
space.
for me to bounce around on. Because I mean, last time I was like, "Oh, I get in and get out," and then I took one of the biggest bumps I've ever taken because it was so high up. It was so high up. But can't believe you had Cole Radrick on the air. Can't believe you had him.
We had Cole, and then we had Steve do a run-in the middle of the interview.
The Tony calls at 1, by the way.
Thank you. I've only asked 3 times to try to figure out my afternoon.
Well, there you figured out your afternoon. There you go. I'm sure there's going to be it's going to be robust and full of newsworthy items.
It's a great question. Can't comment.
Yeah. But yeah, here's one I can drop on the spotlight. As of now, this will be my last match this year. I had verbally agreed to face Matt Cardona 2 weeks ago, and unfortunately his injury happened. So that's not going to be happening this year as planned, as pitched to me, but hope he gets well soon. I hate that. That dude is so good. He's such a great example of like, how many times have you seen people that left WWE and just didn't wrestle again? Tons. And he set a pretty good template for an awful lot of people, even if they succeed on a smaller scale. It's pretty great.
I always say you go 2 ways when you get released by WWE. And I wrote this way back. Ryback actually blocked me on Twitter over this. You either go the Cody way or you go the Ryback way. I remember Ryback was super hot when he got released by WWE. Everybody's like, fly back. Oh my God, the handcuffs are going to be off with him. This is going to be great. And he did like nothing. And Cody, people were more down on because they're like, oh, it's just Stardust. Like, I don't know about this Cody guy. And, look at him now. And I always praised Cody for the decisions he made after he left. And I was like, Ryback, he had all the momentum in the world and he went that way. Cardona obviously went the Cody way.
It's wild because I remember that 2016 to early 2017 period, there was Cody, Jack Swagger, Wade Barrett, and Ryback who all left of their own volition, which wasn't happening then. Like, people weren't just leaving at the top then because there wasn't a lot else there. At least there hadn't been in previous years. Cody did what he did. Incredible. Wade Barrett just said, nah, I'm good, and became an announcer. Jake Hager went to MMA, and Ryback did almost nothing. I mean, he wrestled probably a few dozen matches, but the guy hasn't wrestled in 4 years. So, or gosh, probably longer than that. 5 years, 6 years. So it is all about how you do it. And I think that Matt Cardona looked at what Cody did and he said, you know what, I can do that even on a wilder scale. So get well soon to him. And guys, I hope you all will check out PawCade this Sunday, Jeffersonville, Indiana. It is before AEW, so don't worry. I'm not going to cut it. Like, I'm not going head to head with Ospreay and Danielson. That isn't happening.
You're a bigger draw than those guys. You at least understand business and when to win and when to lose, unlike Bryan Danielson.
That's also true. But I encourage you guys, donate to the Humane Society of Washington County. Every single match that I do, it's for a nice cause, whether it be Hosea's house or NAMI or something like that. This one, the entire event is to benefit the Humane Society of Washington County and help out some nice animals. So thank you, Jeremy, for not inviting me on, but allowing me on.
Appreciate you joining any show that I'm on here in the morning. All right, everybody, let's get into the interview with old Cole Radrick, our pal. Here we go. Cole Radrick in the Creator Spotlight.
Welcome to the Creator Spotlight here on the Spotlight on Fightful. I am Stephen Jensen, joined as always by Jeremy Lambert. And our guest today is a returning guest. He is the king of Wreck Shit Mountain. He is the Rowdy Daddy. He's the Bloody Buddy. He is the GCW holder of the brass ring. He's got a lot going on. We got Cole Radrick in the house. Welcome back, Cole. How you doing, man?
What's up, man? How we doing, guys? Nice to see you both.
Always good to see you, Cole. Jensen, it was low key intro. Like fired up. Cole Radrick is here. He never joins us.
What?
For people who may not know, who might be new to our show.
No. Don't let this mother fool you, all right? This guy right here has canceled on me twice. What? For fair reasons. You have asked me 2 times back to back to be on the show. And then immediately after, within the next 2 to 3 days, for fair reasons in both February and in March, you're like, hey, Cole, we can't have you on the show. But yes, I am also the holder of the brass ring.
I do not. Wait, hold on.
Holder of the Rival Showdown Omni Championship. Also holder of the Grab House W4T Championship. So, yeah, we got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, covered in
okay, what I think you're 100% lying that I've canceled on you. I do not remember these at all. When was this? I'll pull up DMs. I don't remember this at all. Jensen, I'm gonna protest this conversation.
Maybe I am confused. There is a guy though.
It wouldn't have been for this show.
No. Maybe you know what? Maybe I pulled a Jensen where he messed up the last show on the very beginning that I was on. I think I messed it up this time.
I haven't.
I think I know. I have the show in mind. I still love those guys, but I think I know who it is now.
I would like a formal apology now because
you are a sweetheart and a sweet human being every time I get to see you. The Smitty is coming back in 2024. I will be hopefully giving whoever be back on the show and announcing the date. We don't have it completely confirmed, but summer 2024, the Smitty returns. So that one's for you, pal.
Look, I'm gonna be there. Whenever it is, wherever it is,
whatever you want to do, I got you, baby. It's on me.
I don't know what I want. I want to just take it all in. I'll dress up as a character. You don't want me bumping for anybody. I'll throw myself.
Oh no. I didn't know if you just want to talk about it.
I definitely want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to be part of the show somehow. I want to sweep up. Can I be a sweeper?
You could be Yeah. We could get you a sweeper or plankton outfit, something.
Yeah, that's all I want to do. I just want to sweep up, after a death match or something. If you do one of those,
brother, in Spencer, Indiana, we ain't having no death matches. I love them. Just you got to know the town, baby. on a SpongeBob show. Now a Bikini Bottom street fight, on the other hand.
Okay, there we go. See, I want to clean up. I want to part.
Oh yes, I do want to apologize. I did get confused with it.
Thank you.
Show.
Thank you. I'll no longer protest this interview.
It was a rough start. This was on me. You know what? I'll take the fine. Todd can yell at me later. Can't eliminate me from No Battle Royal though.
Well, see about PawCade. Don't know. I mean, Cole's been on our show. What? This has got to be like at least 6 times. I want to say over the last 2 years. So
I love it. You guys are freaking awesome. I appreciate the hell out of you guys, and we have a good conversation every time, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you always got a lot going on. We like having you on. You're a nice dude. We don't cancel on you, so it's good to know that that's all been cleared up right at the top of the show.
Yeah, I kind of was like, on the nice dude part, that one's on me. If we're being honest, kind of feel like a dick right now, but at least I have a conscience about it. But you guys are awesome. You guys are always fun to talk to, and man, it's just a good time,
Yeah, well, we appreciate you being on here. Speaking of always having stuff going on, I do got to bring up I think I would consider the biggest news going on with you right now. You just showed it off. You have grabbed the brass ring at GCW.
Yes, sir.
You won the ladder match. Spring break. I mean, I was pulling for you, Cole. I'll say as a fan of GCW, I always see you live when you're here in Atlanta. It's always good to see you in person in center stage. And I've always been a fan of yours for quite a while. And in GCW, it felt like, as a fan from outside looking in, you lost the Extreme Championship a while ago, and you had been doing things that were important on the show. You were featured, one of the top people, still one of the most overperformers. You had the thing going with Mason and with Pero and with Holiday. And I mean, so you were always like heavily involved on the show, but me, along with a lot of your fan base, were like, where are the title shots, where Cole was the champion. Like, we don't want, as much as we like seeing you in scrambles and stuff, it's like, we're kind of a little past the scrambles a little bit. Like, let's get back on track here. You've been teaming with Alec Price as the Garbage Daddies. I think that's been going really well. You have had a shot against Kevin Kuhn and Dominic Greeny, the current GCW Tag Team Champions, unsuccessfully, but you have the brass ring now. So my first question really is, how does it feel to win that? And can you give us any insight on like what your plans are? Because you could go tag team titles, you could go singles. I'd love to see you, challenge Blake Christian. So I got a lot of options.
Yeah, man, it's a cool opportunity. Like you said, that it's easy to get lost in the shuffle of GCW because there are so many talented performers and wrestlers on each show that are all vying to make a name each and every show. Every show is topping one another in forms of athletic ability and the matches featured, and each show just gets better and better, and you have to continue to evolve and grow with that. And honestly, tagging with my boy Alec Price, we're currently wearing his jersey now. Shout out Rough Figures, Mike Ruff. Teaming with Alec Price has brought me a new wind. He's one of my best friends. He's my boy Blue. The Garbage Daddies, since the first time me and Alec teamed, we clicked. There's a certain level of trust that you have with your best friend, and me and Alec wrestle two completely different styles, but we both see things the same way. And even though we might have a different avenue to get there, that what makes us dangerous is we can go different ways and still get to the same destination a lot better than a lot of different people. Yes, we did lose to Dominic Greeny and Kevin Kuhn, Violence is Forever, in Indianapolis, in my hometown, and that sucked. But we're back. We're keeping going. We keep going. We keep going. That's what the Garbage Daddies do. As for plans for the brass ring, there's a lot of cards on the table, and my daddy, being a poker player, always told me you hold your cards close to your hand, and sometimes you just gotta shuffle the deck and see what unfolds. So, a lot of chips on the table still.
Well, you got a lot of options there. I mean, when you won the match, Alec was right there on the ladder with you. He was supporting you when you got that dub. So, I mean, that was one of those things that I thought of immediately was like, maybe he goes tag titles, and maybe he does, try to take. I mean, Kuhn and Guarini have been killing it as the tag team champions. And I know you guys have known those guys a long time before y'all have like a ton of history all over different companies. I mean, so whoever takes down VIF is going to be a big deal. So I could see that, but also someone's got to take down Blake Christian, and like, you could be that guy too, So like, I'm really interested to see what you do with that thing.
Yeah, man.
Blake Christian's going to Japan for like a month here shortly to compete in Best of Super Juniors. So you should just like make him pack a little bit lighter if he needs to.
Hey, you can always see.
I want to ask about your other venture. You did a few things WrestleMania weekend, but one thing that I did not realize was you until somebody pointed out, and then you confirmed it. You wore a "He Hate Me" jersey and got
shout out Rod Smart, baby.
As a Panthers fan, I know all about Rod Smart. So I'm probably the only person who's like, I actually know who this is, and it's not just "He Hate Me." So I was like, shout out to the guy in the Rod Smart jersey, and somebody was like, pretty sure that's Cole Radrick, and then you confirmed it was you. You got pecked by a chicken in this jersey.
Yeah, I almost died. I almost had to go to the hospital. Very, very scary situation. Luckily, there was a Tito's and Red Bull. Brought me back. We're back. It's all safe and sound. And yeah, man. Shout out Fight Entertainment. Had a great time. Shout out Speedball Mike Bailey. Love that guy. And yeah, almost died to a chicken.
I also saw you almost die there was like a scramble match you were in not that long ago. And you had there was 5 people giving you a submission hold at one time, and Jack Cartwheel behind y'all doing like just
yeah.
What was that like? Because you want to winning the match. People forget like you won that match after all.
Yeah. I know. I got the victory. Ready Daddy testimony. Yeah, that was actually the Jersey J Cup Day 2. It was a 6-on-6 tag or 8-on-8.
That's what it was. You're right.
But yeah, that was not a fun time. Straight up, not having a fun time. It was one of those moments where I just want to get up and be like, screw you guys, I'm going home. But yeah, got through it, got up, got the dub.
Well, how does it feel like when you kind of go viral on nights like that? When like you like finish your match, you just see like your notifications going off. You're like, wait, what did people take out of what I just did out there?
It's just there's a lot of inner thoughts of like why people really enjoy seeing me get my ass kicked. It happens a lot. Do I understand it? A little bit. Does it hurt a little bit inside? Yeah. But it doesn't hurt as much as the elbow drop.
Yeah.
Going viral every 8 months, every 10 months. I wish it was every year. At least it would be like, oh, it's like this. But it's like, it's August, November, usually February. And it's just like, please.
Well, that one transcends the wrestling audience. Like, I'll see that being like put out by like entertainment accounts and stuff. Like they just like come across it. They're like, what is this? Like what happened? And then I always see Cole Radrick right there. Who was the one who flew off there?
Marcus Everett.
That's right. Okay. Well, shout out Marcus Everett. Where's he at now? You have any idea?
Last to my knowledge, he was a realtor in Ohio. But last to my knowledge. I think he's wrestled once or twice recently.
Okay.
But I have not. Oh, sorry, I'm old.
What are you doing?
Dropped a vape.
Oh, Jesus. You got a match.
Why are you yelling at me?
I'm never yelling at you. I love you. You got a match this weekend against Steve, not Dr. Death, at PawCade. I don't know if you have any like words for him. It's a pretty big match. He won a battle royal.
Yeah,
What?
For him, yeah.
Oh,
like I don't know, man. Like he's taking it like a joke, right? And it's like it's all fun and games. Well, like he shits on a lot of people, a lot of my friends, and it is a lot of fun and games. And we're gonna play a game at PawCade. That's for sure.
Those aren't like too stronger words. Do you have like stronger words for him?
I mean, he's gonna hear this.
Oh, absolutely, he's gonna hear this. I hope he hears it. Every time he goes to bed. I hope he hears it every time he wakes up. I hope he hears it the day he goes to PawCade and shits his pants before we even get in the ring. Like
he hears it right now.
This dude's gonna get whooped, man. It's gonna be fun. And he thinks it might go 7-8 minutes and he'll find a little cheap shot way to win. And about 15 minutes of me allowing him to drown, I'll pin him.
Well, we're an unbiased podcast here, Cole, and we like to give equal time.
I know. Jensen has already told me that he thinks Steve's going to win in about 2 minutes.
You think Steve's going to win in 2 minutes? Well, let's hear what Steve has to say.
Hey, Ratty Daddy.
You bald son of a bitch. I knew it. Set up for you, ball.
Welcome, Steve.
Some people may think it's all fun and games. They may think that this is like some Jerry Lawler or Andy Kaufman thing. And it might be.
But it is. And
but I'm not Andy.
You are. I mean, you may have ate Andy, but you are Andy.
I am not getting dropped on my head in front of 200 people at the Jeffersonville Arena.
Oh,
I may be doing the
drop
dropping
on your neck.
Okay.
Remember Owen Hart, Steve Austin?
See, you're trying to lure me into saying some outlandish shit about Owen Hart on camera. And I'm not taking the bait, Cole.
That's fucked up. I would have done that. I'm a good guy. That's fucked up, man.
So yeah, it might go. I don't think it's going to go 2 minutes either way, because I'm a large man.
It might take you 2 minutes to get to the ring.
It might, because I have fans. I have adoring throngs of individuals who I may have to fight my way through like it's 1982 at the fucking Sportatorium.
Wait. What type of fans? Are they industrial, house fans? Are they like desktop fans? Because I know they ain't people.
They're paying customers, which I know is unusual for the Jeffersonville Arena.
But we're going to pack GCW come to town, and with Paradigm Pro, that's Cole Radrick on the card, baby.
And we're going to pack the house, but it's not about me and you. It's about the dogs. We're here to raise some money. For
and the cats. Cause. Cats have paws too. How about you calm down? Trust me, to wrestle your bum ass, I put a little special clause in the contract. That cat's got a little bit of the cheddar too, buddy. So don't you worry. It's a cat and mouse game, and your ass is running for the cheese. Now I'm getting you.
The only cheese I'm running after is that cheddar that they're going to pay us with. That sweet, sweet W half of the purse is coming home with me.
Okay. All right.
Like, Cole, you're facing PawCade legend, winner of the PawCade The Last Stampede Battle Royal last year. Like this, I hope you're not treating this as a joke here.
Yeah, okay. It's all fun, right?
He won the Battle Royal last year, Cole. When have you won a Battle Royal?
A lot. When has he won a brass ring? When has he won a Extreme title? When has he won the Rival Showdown Pro Omni Championship? When has he won the Grab House W4 NTU Championship? It's fun. You're a part-time 20, not even a 20-mile guy, 5-mile guy. And I do this shit for real, so we'll see.
You do, and I don't want to discount.
I love you, Steve, but this is going to be fun, and only one of us is going to have fun.
I don't want to discount your accomplishments. You've been out there absolutely killing it. I saw you get the brass ring last weekend. A big win on a big week with a lot of eyeballs on you. And if I can get even 1/10 of those eyeballs on PawCade to see you go down, it'll all be worth it. It's my last ride, man. I got one more in me. I'm leaving it all out there. And I'm not leaving on a stretcher. I'm not crawling to the back. I'm leaving with my hand raised one last time.
Listen. Yeah, you won the Battle Royal last year. Kudos to you. Not easy. A lot of dogs in there, if you could say. And you came out the top dog. So kudos to you. And if this is your last ride, just remember, you got to give back, Steve. You never go out on top. And Radrick comes out on top.
Sting
went out on top.
Boys, what are we doing here?
I mean,
Ric Flair as well. He won his last match.
There's a precedent here.
Yeah.
Rich guy's named Steve Austin, Steve Borden. And coming this Sunday, not Dr. Death Steve Williams. We don't leave with the L. My last name starts with a W. I'm taking it with me.
I like it.
Steve, do you have anything to... Oh, go ahead, Jensen.
Oh, no, I'm just saying I'm sold. I'm sold on this matchup.
Oh, it was sold this minute I signed my name on the dotted line, baby, because just like everywhere else, Ratty Daddy draws, and Ratty Daddy draws a W on Sunday night.
Sorry to AEW Dynasty. Everyone should be watching PawCade this weekend. Although I think you guys are on earlier than Dynasty. I feel like it might be earlier in the day. Steve, let everybody know where they can. Do you have a gear? By the way,
I just want to say this was fucked up that you guys set this up. Steve, it is nice to see you. I'm gonna whip your ass Sunday. You're a sweetheart of a human being. A son of a bitch. I'm the man.
I like that you're utilizing this square setup we have. The youngest one has curls ass setup we have going on here.
Oh, I'm sorry that I know how to work a camera, Steve. Just like I do everywhere else, Daddy. Listen, this Sunday, you learn a lot of lessons on your way out because there's a new teacher teaching the class.
All right.
To be fair, Cole's doing. I was going to say, to be fair, Cole's doing the best utilization I think I've ever seen on like StreamYard of knowing where to look and where to point. Like it's always, yeah. So I gotta give you credit on that, dude.
Steve, do you have a shirt that you're wearing? Last year was a legendary shirt.
I did have a shirt made for the occasion.
Me too.
I saw that.
No, you're not getting gear, Cole Radrick. You're not getting all my friends with deadbeats on Cole Radrick. We're steaming it up, Daddy-O.
Yeah, I saw that after my match, Sean Ross Sapp did the same and had some shirts made for his upcoming matches. So I'm something of an innovator in every space that I wander into.
Factual.
Hey, thank you for being a trailblazer in our business.
Steve, you have anything to plug or any final words for Cole before you see him on Sunday and punch him in the face?
No, you guys can follow me at Not Dr. Death. That's NOTDRDEATH. If you want to see me be a general menace on Twitter. PawCade coming up at Spring Street, Jeffersonville, Indiana, this Sunday, 2:00. Doors are at 1:30. Card is subject to change because it is independent wrestling and it is in Southern Indiana.
He's saying he might get scared and not show up.
No, I'm saying that someone may throw a couch from Claysburg Towers and ruin our festivities as we're filing into the building.
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times. It's amazing. It is the best.
But
There's
thank you.
No rules in that parking lot.
I want to thank you guys for having me on. Cole, get some rest because I'm putting your ass to sleep on Sunday.
Thank you, Steve.
What, in your interest?
Thank you, Steve.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. Sorry to catch you off guard on that, Cole.
That was your.
I mean,
that's real professional.
After canceling on you so many times, you decided you wanted.
Yeah, after canceling
honestly,
on you so many times.
I had it coming. You know?
That's on you.
I literally you're fucking lying. I was like, no way. And then yeah, I'm just an idiot.
The moment Jensen was like, hey, what about Cole this week? I was like, of course, Cole's always welcome. I was like, oh, he's got a match with Steve at PawCade. Like, we can promote that as well. Like, the moment Jensen said you were in, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna message Steve and see if he can join us. And he's like, I think I will be available during that time. And Jensen, I'll throw Jensen on the bus. He knew. I told him not to tell you. I said, just don't tell Cole. Don't.
Wow, Jensen. No, I thought we had something.
We do. Oh, you should see our DMs, how he set these interviews up. There's smooches. Anyways, Cole.
The disrespect. Bro.
So Cole, we talked a little bit about gear just a second ago, right? Like we were trying to get some intel on like what people are going to be wearing. What the fuck's up with the parachute pants, man? Where are they at?
They are in the bottom bin of my drawer right over here.
Why haven't you been wearing them? In your match?
I haven't done a death match since August of last year.
But like, you only for the death matches. Like, dude, I think I told you last time more pair, and I think they were like sold out last time we talked. So it was like, okay, well, fair enough. Like,
you gonna fund them?
I don't know where you. I don't know where you.
I know where I buy them at, but that's you're like I'm. It's been a thought, man. Mm-hmm. But you know.
I like the parachute pants. Let's throw it out there. Maybe incorporate some Jinkos into the rotation. Pretty similar. No, okay. Well, I try. Maybe. I know there's.
I would, but I'm saying all I'm saying is if I'm getting a specific pair of pants, it would be the ones I always wear, not Jinkos.
Yeah,
I'm not shitting on you.
That's fair. That's fair.
I was working that camera hard, brother.
Dude, that's facts. Yeah.
I've got to give you a lot of credit. Leave a thumbs up on the during the video. I got to give you a lot of credit for the way you were utilizing the camera there, because no one does that. Like, no one.
Always backwards. I'm got you now, but like
taking
usually you'll see me like the first few minutes of the show. I'm always doing like one of these. I'm like, all right, this is that way.
Get your camera check going.
Yeah, man. I'm on, baby. I'm gotta perform for my boys.
Why aren't you doing it? Is that just a smart decision?
Why aren't you doing death matches?
Why aren't you doing death matches?
It's just the right scenario hasn't came up, and really try to protect my health, working on some certain things in my life, and just try to physically get better. You know, when I do compete in death matches, I try to go as hard as I can. Try to put on the best show that I can. Do as many things that would entertain the people as I can do. But it is a toll that it takes, and there's guys out there that do them every weekend, man. These guys are badass people. These guys are going, putting their bodies through hell, and some of these guys do 2 to 3 every weekend. Like there's a year, like 1, 2, maybe 3 years ago, John Wayne Murdoch did 104 death matches in the span of a year. You think of it, and I might be off by 10, one way or another, but that is an insane amount of matches for somebody to go through in 365 days and 52 weeks. You know what I mean? And the recovery time it takes. And, like there's a point where I was doing them almost once a month, twice a month. And it's not that I don't love doing them or I don't. There's a respect that you have to give to the art form. You don't want to give it half-assed, and that's how people can get hurt. So I just want to do them when it's meaningful. Do them right, and there hasn't been any opportunities that came up, and you never know.
Well, if I remember correctly, I'm almost positive when we had this guy on, he talked about he wanted to dip his toes in. So I'm going to get your opinion on this. We recently had a guy that I know you're good friends with, Braden Toon, on the show. And Braden, of course, the current New South champion, I believe he told me and Jeremy he's considering dipping his toes into death matches. He hasn't really done it, but he's considering it. What are your thoughts on Braden? Do you think that's a good idea for him to start doing that?
So I mean, Toon has talked to me about it, and I gave him my honest opinion, and with as much due respect to you and Jeremy, I'll keep what I told him between me and him.
Sure.
But I'll just say that there's a lot of dedication and respect that has to be given to the art form, and not saying that he wouldn't have that. Ray Toon is one of the best. He's a great guy. He has a great future, and I'm not saying that death matches would take anything away from that. But there's a certain level of commitment, and I'm just I just gave him my opinion. He's a grown man, and he can make whatever choice he wants to make, and I love him either way. And at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for you. And if that's what the path that he chooses to go down through, hey, I made that choice when I was at age 2, and all I can do is give my opinion as a guy that's now, a few years older, has a few more years of experience, and try to help out my brother,
No, I respect that you want to keep that between you. And when we first talked to you, which is now, almost 2 years at this point, you were just it was your first death match, and then to now
we had done him,
maybe first in
GCW.
came
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but to now hear your perspective on things 2 years later is it's just very interesting. I don't even call it growth if you want to call it that, but it's just interesting to hear your perspective from where we were when we talked to you 2 years ago to where you are now. I do want to ask about just the clusterfuck in general, and just being part of it, and what it's like being part of it, and everything that goes into it, and learning of what you're going to do around what everybody else is doing, because there's just so much going on in those matches.
Man, honestly, we're lucky because it takes a group of professionals to pull that off, man. You think you had 83 competitors in one match, and there are, and I'm not only talking about the wrestlers that are in the ring. I'm also talking about the professionals backstage, the referees around the ring. I'm talking about the camera crew. I'm talking about even the helpers around the ring. There's a lot of moments and a lot of things going on, and we have to protect the crowd, and we have to make sure we don't miss cues. And man, people love the clusterfuck. Brett Lauderdale posted that it was me, him, MLJ, Speedball Mike Bailey that helped put it all together, and it was a very cool experience. Very stressful. I was, me and Speedball Bailey both, even I would say from the time we got there at 2:30. I got there 2:30. Speedball got there probably 3:30. I think he had a show. And then we all sat down and we started talking. And then probably by the time that we like got everybody together, and then from that moment to the time the show started, me and Speedball Bailey are talking to everybody, every different group of people, coming back to each other, 2 seconds of words, going back. And honestly, man, it's a lot of fun. You know, it's a different learning process. It's a different learning aspect in wrestling. And man, Yoshihiko, Nick Gage, Microman, the finals of Clusterfuck Forever, the insanity.
Yeah,
the insanity.
It's one. There's like I think there was 87 people.
87.
I thought it was 83. 87 people.
Yeah, I think it was 87. And so you're not only have to coordinating all of that. Like, I think this is honestly a big part of it. This show's going on at like 3 a.m. Like
it ended at 3 a.m. Yes.
Yeah.
I drove home after.
It felt like, especially when the giant chicken and the giant cupcake were in there battling each other, and it's like I'm on a drug trip right now at 3 o'clock in the morning after just watching night 1 of WrestleMania, and now
wasn't it awesome?
Oh, it was great. I said it. I was on a show the next day, and people were like, "Oh, what was your favorite moment from WrestleMania weekend so far?" I was like, "I'm pretty sure I watched a chicken and a cupcake battle last night, and that's been the highlight of my weekend so far."
Man, and that's the thing about wrestling, man. Wrestling's meant to be fun, and you have a lot of great matches going on, and the Clusterfuck has a wide variety of everything. You're going to see some wild stuff. You're going to see some great pro wrestling. And you get a whole bunch of different surprises, and that's what makes it so great.
So is it true? So Janela tweeted that, like, I got a text from Nick Gage. Hey, got any more room in the Clusterfuck for me?
Yes.
And so Nick Gage
that
was
legitimately happened.
So he was just a kind of a late addition to everything.
It's not like in there. The man, the king, the god of this shit, Nick fucking Gage, my man, my boy. MDK. Yeah. Awesome. Shout out Nick Gage. They just announced us going back to St. Louis. This is the pizza cutter for me and Nick Gage in St. Louis for the GCW World Championship. So thank you for carving me up, Nikki. Love you, brother. Thank you for I guess giving me something morbid to put up in my wall of memories for the rest of my life. I'll hide it from my children one day. I won't allow myself to explain that.
I wanted to ask.
Shout out Peyton Manning.
Oh, there you go. We'll talk a little football too before we get out of here. Also, because I want your thoughts on the draft a little bit. Before I forget to ask. Speaking of the Clusterfuck, the winner of the Clusterfuck, Microman. Massively over in GCW, like, been around for a while. American audiences probably knew him through like MLW and the stuff he was kind of doing with the SGC and stuff. He comes over to GCW, and he's awesome. Feeling it.
He's awesome, man. He's awesome. He's fun to be around. He's a good dude, and hey, man, again, he's a unique performer, and he brings something completely different to the table, and he makes the most of what he does, and you can't beat that, man.
Yeah, that was another viral moment from the Clusterfuck with Mike
and the brass ring too.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I took a ladder to the knee. I used to be an adventurer, but I took a ladder to the knee.
He did the Terry Funk spot, and you.
Yeah. Thanks, Micro. Micro. I don't know if it's micro or micro, but they say both.
Yeah, Prazak says micro, Emil says micro, so it's kind of like they go back and forth. Yeah,
I don't know. Micro. I mean, we love Big Dick MLJ.
Yeah, but do they call in Mexico? Do they call him micro?
Maybe.
Probably. I mean, I feel like that's where that's coming from, right? It's got to be the pronunciation he's heard elsewhere is why he's saying that. Either way, I'm not going to question MLJ is the man. I'm a humongous fan of his work. He does the intro for this show every week. He's the dude. But yeah,
it
it was
shows
cool to see
them how much he's got to lower himself to do the intro for this show, but we love him for it.
Yes.
Love MLJ.
All right, are we talking football for the?
Yeah, I do want to get some thoughts on that. We got the draft coming up. It's going to be a week from the day that like this airs, that everyone hears this. So a week from now.
When is it? When is it?
On Thursday. So like this will air Thursday morning, and then the draft's next Thursday.
Yeah.
So
I have the day off work.
In a week, who do you think helps the Colts? Or like, do you think they need to like trade their picks? Do you know who what do they need to do?
So if we stay where we are, I want a wide receiver. If we get a defensive weapon, I will be very upset. We need help for Anthony Richardson, but I do not think it needs to be an offensive lineman. I think it needs to be a weapon. It doesn't need to be a running back or a fullback. Give us a wide receiver, a tight end named Brock Bowers, but I think if we trade up, I will be humongously surprised because that is not Chris Ballard's MO. If we trade back, I might need to go to a soft padded room. I might need some nice grippy socks. I might need to be left alone except for a little controller and some Rocket League. I might need a safe space. Like there'd be a lot of bad options on the table. But I am very excited for the Colts to be back. I'm very excited to see year 2 of Anthony Richardson. I think the addition of Joe Flacco is going to do wonders for him because last year it was Gardner Minshew and Sam Ellinger, guys that are respected in the league. Sam Ellinger has been a career backup. Gardner Minshew had a couple good years with the Jaguars and then went as a backup. But now you have a guy that's won a Super Bowl that helped out Lamar Jackson. And yeah, man, if Anthony Richardson learns to protect himself, then see you at the Super Bowl, baby.
Will you be watching the will you be watching the draft on
yes,
like on McAfee's feed? Because that's I know he's your boy. That's why I'm asking.
Pal. Come on, pal.
Dude, I mean,
Brad, pal.
I look forward to Mad Mel every draft now. So like I am hyped up to see Mad Mel Kiper and I think Ty is like that guy's great. Even though he's a Packers fan, I'm not a big fan of that being a Vikings guy, but I'm excited.
I am very excited. I watch the draft spectacular every year. Again, it's going to be a good time. I think the Ty Schmidt Jordan Love draft day was one of the most funniest things. I remember I was at work listening to it on my headphones, and I just remember I had to go to the bathroom. I was crying, laughing so hard. So, yep, I will be watching it. If you want to do a watch along to watching the McAfee thing, you just can let me know. Or just if you want to just at least text it, laugh about it. I don't fucking know.
I'll be during the show, Cole. I'll be watching. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward too. I know we're getting close to wrapping up. I just want to get your thoughts on something. Max Holloway Gaethje, knockout of the year.
Oh, let's go. I mean, one of the best knockouts of all time. So
one of the best. But is it? I've seen people say it's the best, but I don't know. I don't know if that's recency bias or
all time.
I'll say the only thing that's comparable to it in an actual UFC fight from like a standpoint of like last second big fight type thing would be. I mean, Demetrius Johnson, when he did that mousetrap last second in a title fight, that was pretty huge. Or, I mean, I love when Yair knocked out Korean Zombie last second and Zombie was ahead in the fight.
That one broke my heart, bro.
Me too. I'm a huge Zombie fan. I'm with you. And I love that VIF. That's their thing now, which they've like carried that on for me. Yes. I love that. But I think that given the circumstances, being UFC 300, last second, BMF title, the fight totally lives up to the hype. Max Holloway is ahead in the fight. He doesn't have to do that at all to like throw down in the middle. Like he could have just like coasted to the victory. Yes. And Max moving up a weight class, like to be able to do this. And now
the last time he moved up, he lost, didn't he?
I know he lost to Poirier at 155.
Yeah.
Poirier, sorry.
I was there live in Atlanta for that one. That fight gets forgotten because the fight before that was Adesanya versus Gastelum, which was like one of the best fights ever. And then right after that was Poirier and Holloway. But yeah, I mean, like given the circumstances, I wouldn't really argue like that might be the best knockout because there's other stuff that's different circumstantially, like the Masvidal flying knee. It was like really cool, and like Anderson Silva's front kick on Vitor, and like there's moments like that. But given the circumstances, I think that might be the best of all time, Holloway and Gaethje.
Yeah, I just think with what was on the line at the moment, man, that's so hard to say like that. It's not number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because the fight was only put together for that reason. It was like Holloway was not really in the mix at featherweight until Volkanovski lost. And then it was like by the time that happened, he had already agreed to do the BMF thing, and they just needed to do the BMF thing because they just wanted more entertaining big fights on UFC 300. So the fight made no sense to make, really, at all on paper. Because Holloway was just going to get a 145 title shot probably anyways now that Poirier was the champion. So but dude, how amazing is it for Holloway that like that guy is already as established as he is one of like the GOATs, and now he's like way more famous now than he ever has been now after that. So good for him.
Man, it's awesome. And it's good for him. He's getting so much more respect for what he does, you know, and it's cool, man, you know, and it's like you see Justin Gaethje and Holloway have so much respect for one another and the love that they give each other. And the fact that Max Holloway is a good dude, but in that cage, man, no pun intended, he's a bad motherfucker, bro.
Yes, he is. This is actually the poster from that Atlanta show. I didn't realize it was right behind me. That's the Gastelum and Adesanya and Poirier Holloway card right there behind me. Jeremy, you have any thoughts on that as we wrap up? I thought it was incredible.
I think it's definitely up there. The Vitor and Anderson will always stick up there for me just because it was so unexpected. And Joe Rogan was talking about Vitor's hand speed right when Anderson just front kicked him in the face. But the fact that like Max didn't have to do that, like the Yair one is like a last second Hail Mary that he needed.
Yeah, Max was ahead. Yeah.
Max had no incentive to be like, all right, let's throw it. Like he's done it in previous fights. It's not like it's, you know, this isn't something he hasn't done before. But the fact that he was like, yeah, let's do this right here. Up a weight class too. Yeah, he went for it. Oh, it was so my wife was sleeping and I woke her up. I was like, oh fuck. And she's like, what just happened? I was like, oh, just this incredible knockout.
And he did it against Justin Gaethje of all people. That's the big thing to me.
Another complete badass.
Yeah, Gaethje's the man too, for sure.
A one-of-one fighter, bro.
Yeah. Right, Cole, we know you got to run. We appreciate you joining us here tonight. Let everybody know where they can find you at.
You can find me at Twitter and Instagram. COLERADRICK. And you can see me this Sunday, PawCade, for the dogs and for the cats. At Dr. Death Steve Williams at the Jeffersonville Arena. I almost had it.
It is PawCade, everybody. I'll put the links below so everybody can click and support if they want to watch the show, if they want to just donate to the cause, or if they're going to be in the area to come out there and support.
Please do. Shout out Midwest Territory, Chad French. He puts these together every year, and man, they're good events. They're good times, and hey, come on out and support. It is for a legitimate good cause. So.
Cole, we appreciate it. Say hello to, after you punch him in the face, say hello to Steve for us. Say hello to Sean Ross Sapp for us this weekend.
Maybe not Sean. Maybe me and Steve. Maybe I could take the Triple H photo with Steve after he plays the game.
Love it.
Thank you, Cole. Thank you, man. We
Love
appreciate
you guys.
it.
Thank you.
Love you too,
guys,
bro.
we'll be right back here on the spot. We are back. Big thank you to Cole Radrick, our pal. He's been on the show, I think, outside of Moe's, the most of anybody we've ever had on the show. It was really fun getting Steve, not Dr. Death, to do a run-in as well. All right, guys, it's a busy day, as it always is in the world of wrestling. There's a Tony Khan media call in a couple hours that I'll be covering. You can head over to Fightful.com and get all the news from that media call. I'm sure there'll be plenty said. How much of it was storyline based and how much of it is reality based? I don't know. Tune in. Great question. Watch AEW Dynasty live only on pay-per-view this Sunday. I'm not doing the big sales pitch. That's tomorrow in the weeds. You can watch In the Weeds 10 a.m. Eastern on FightfulOverbooked.com. You can watch Coexisting with Rob and Maggie at 3 p.m. Eastern on FightfulOverbooked.com. We got a prediction show with Stephanie Chase today here on the main channel. Check out everything we got going on. We'll be back next week, breaking it all down, talking about AEW Dynasty, talking about whatever's happening in the world of WWE, independent wrestling, elsewhere in wrestling. We appreciate y'all. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for all the support in the chat. We'll talk to y'all next week. Bye, everybody.